Buenos dias. Good morning, everyone out there. Welcome to We Rise Mujeres de Maiz. Cuatro direcciones para la salud in South at WLCAC, Watts Labor Community Action Center. Welcome, and let's start this with Onyi Love.
Good day, good day, beautiful day, joyful day, peaceful day. Honoring the day, welcoming the day, asking that during this day, we experience all there is for us to experience in order for us to be more of who we are. I honor our ancestors, Egun. Thank you, ancestors, our individual ancestors, our collective ancestors, the ancestors of the lands that we occupy, the ancestors going back to the beginning of time, human, non-human ancestors, everything that came before us. We honor you, we thank you, we ask you to be at peace, to be at ease. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your guidance. Thank you for everything that you endured so that we could be here. And as we heal you. As we heal, we open the doors. We clear the roads for our future generations to be whole. Thanking the directions, north, east, south, west, all of the directions. May we move in the direction of our preference. May we learn everything there is to learn from all the directions, and today the south. Thanking all of the beings in the plant, mineral, and animal kingdoms. Thanking everything on earth, everything outside of earth. May we all remember that we are all in this together. We are all in this together. We are all in this together. Any idea of separation is a lie. Any idea of superiority is a lie. Any idea that takes us away from the fact that we are worthy, we are valuable because we are here, period, is a lie. So break through that lie and ground in the truth of who you are. Everyone take a deep breath in and exhale. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Place your hand on your heart. Continue breathing with ease, with peace. Feeling all the elements. Tapping into the energy of everything in life. Just breathe with ease, with peace, asking that in this moment you open your heart to receive what there is to receive in this moment. Continue breathing, connecting to the heart space, remembering that all of us are connected through the heart. Though our forms and our bodies may be different, though our belief systems may be different, it is through the heart that we connect. So breathe into that connection. Continue breathing and grounding as you breathe with every breath, with every inhale. Surrender to the earth. We are always connected to the earth. From the earth we come, to the earth we return, always returning to the earth. Continue breathing and grounding, and in this time, opening up. Continue breathing, remembering who you are in this moment. You are connection, you are love. You are connection and you are love. You are peace. even in moments of action, even in moments of fire. Always come back to your peace. Even in moments of action, even in moments of fire, always come back to your coolness. May we embody the energy of coolness. Coolness and peace and all of the action we take to break through what is not us, to shift and change and transform the systems, our relationships with each other, to transform, always remembering the coolness, returning to the coolness and peace. Continue breathing with every inhale and exhale. Coolness. Allowing that coolness to move through every part of your being. Allowing that peace to completely envelop you. Returning to the peace of who you are. With every action, come from peace. With every thought, come from peace. With every word, come from peace. Allow peace to move through you. And as you move through spaces, bring peace everywhere you go. Calling upon the energy of peace, wisdom, Obatala, all of the names of the energies and spirits that remind us of peace. May we remember who you are. May we remember ourselves in you. May we bring peace wherever we go. May we bring sweetness wherever we go. Sweetness, peace, connection, remembering our beauty. Thank you, Oshun, for reminding us of our beauty. May we enjoy the beauty that is today, no matter what it brings, all of the lessons, everything we see, everything we hear, everything we feel, everything we touch, everything we taste, everything we smell. Let our sensation of all of life around us be sweet, even in moments that we don't prefer. May we extract the sweetness from every moment. Continue breathing, continue breathing, continue breathing, continue breathing. Breathe in the sweetness of this moment. Breathe in the sweetness of this time. Let the sweetness flow through every part of your being. Enjoy the sweetness of this moment. Enjoy the sweetness of everyone that is here, everyone that is sharing their gift, sharing their love, sharing their joy. And may it remind you to be in your joy fully. May you be in your joy fully. May you be at peace. May you be in your coolness. May we transform ourselves, our ancestors, our future generations. Ashe. Thank you.
Thank you, Onyi. Gracias. That was beautiful. Really nice and grounding. I totally needed that. We all need that. Okay, so welcome to We Rise Mujeres de Maiz. We're here at Watts Labor Community Action Center presenting you program today called Cuatro Direcciones para la Salud in the South, honoring the South direction. Please let us know where you're tuning in from, what land you're on. We're on Tongva land right now here in Los Angeles and Watts, California. So please welcome, share our page with other people that you might think might benefit from this today. This is for our well-being today. We have an artist pop-up. And before we move any further, I want to introduce the muralist, the installation artist today, and she's going to talk about her mural and the significance of her piece. Please welcome Ranika Adachi. Come on in. Oh, right now. So you can take off. You're more than welcome. So you can talk about your piece, and then we'll.
Okay. Greetings, everyone. So glad that you all have joined in with us today for this event and just, giving some awareness to mental health. So, yes, I like to call these my wisdom shields. And the reason why I decided to work with shields is because right now, with everything going on in the world, we all need some protection. We all need to be protected. Yet the thing is, when it comes to protection, is what is it that you value that you need to protect? So in a sense, the shields are asking you to look within yourself, to see what it is that you value, what's important to you. Is it home? Is it your family? Is it shelter? Is it your job or just your financial well-being? Is it your peace of mind, which we are dealing with mental health awareness? So peace of mind is something that we are all striving to maintain in these here times. What else could it be? Could it be your relationships with your friends and with your families? Is it your connection to the people in your community? So what do you value? Is it your health? Okay, so these are questions that you have to ask yourself and you have to meditate on to find what is valuable to you. And with that, those things that are valuable, those are the things that we protect. So these wisdom shields I drew from the Mayan and the African cultures. And so I wanted to make sure that I represented both cultures of Black and Brown communities because we live together. And although we have to ask ourselves what we value on a personal level, then we also have to ask ourselves what we value as a community, okay? So it's important that as a community that we are unified because we live amongst each other. And then that goes into mental health because if all is good in the community, if all is good in the hood, then we can walk a little bit taller, Maybe we won't walk around with a frown on our face. Maybe we'll smile. Maybe we'll walk around just feeling more secure, okay, and feeling that safety and the comfort of knowing that you're amongst your community and ones that are looking out for you and ones that you are looking out for. The sister Onyi, she mentioned, where we're not alone, we're all connected, and we are all connected. So hence, I have these shields here, and you'll see that the shields, the Mayan and the African shields are kind of mixed up because I didn't want them separated. They should be together because it's about unity, okay? So that protection, we've been in a pandemic for going on a year and a half, okay? So it's been all about protection. But now we have to question, what else do we need to protect? And that goes back to what we value. What is it that we value? I strive to use colors in the mural that I felt would be a little more soothing to the soul. Colors that would make one just feel a little bit calmer. And then also, I use a lot of browns because I wanted to create a sense of groundedness, being close to the earth and grounded. I also have like some herbs. Here I've got aloe to my left and yarrow to my right. And because I feel like part of us being connected or being protected is connecting to the earth and then going back to the wisdom of our ancestors, hence the wisdom shields, going back to the wisdom of our ancestors and drawing on those ways that we use to protect ourselves health-wise. So dealing with the herbs and connecting with the herbs. And there are so many herbs that grow right here in our urban environment. Like dandelion is all over the place. And I can swear that stinging nettle is always like infiltrating my community garden. So, I mean, it's just, we need to connect with the earth because I feel like in connecting with these herbs, that creates a sense of sustainability, creating a sense of self-assuredness, feeling like you can protect yourself. You can, you know how to go out and forage and get the things that you need in order to care for yourself. I'm still learning, and I invite you all to join me in the learning of these herbs, especially the ones that exist here in Southern California. And so that's why I chose these herbs, because there are things that you can find that grow naturally to Southern California, and that's where we are. So we need to know what it is that our plant allies that live amongst us and that grow amongst us. So there's probably some other things that I could say about all of this, but I'm going to leave you all with that, and I hope that something that I've said will settle on your heart and remain in your mind, and that you yourself would take time to just reflect on what you value, what is important to you, what you value. And then from there, you need to protect those things that you value. But then ask yourself also, what attributes and characteristics about yourself do you value? Okay? What characteristics do you think you possess within that could actually protect you? Because we have everything we need within us. So protection, that's where we are right now. And we have everything. We were blessed when we were birthed into this realm with everything that we need to protect ourselves, and a mind to go seek out those things that may not be within us, but we know how to go research and how to go and find those things. So thank you so much for being with us today. And I'm going to turn the mic back over to Lily. Thank you.
Here.
Okay.
Give her applause, everybody. Okay, thank you so much, Ranika. You can find her, Ranika Adachi, via IG, but she's also Ranika Pinkney. But you can find her on her Instagram under that name as well. That's her artist name.
Yes.
So I want to translate in Spanish for those that speak Spanish, because we're doing bilingual broadcasting today. So, bueno, bienvenidos todos aquí a We Rise Mujeres de Maíz, 4 direcciones para la salud. Estamos aquí en un centro comunitario en Watts Labor Community Action Center, y todos están bienvenidos para compartir y con sus familias esta programación. La artista Ranika estaba diciendo que hizo su arte aquí. Si lo ven un poquito, lo vamos a dar un tour en un rato, pero ella estaba diciendo que ella hizo unas armas, una de estas armas que ven, las armas que vienen de origen de África, y también de los mayas. También hizo unas armas de los guerrilleros de los mayas, y estaba diciendo que su tema y por qué pintó las armas es para protección, porque es un símbolo de protección. Y durante la pandemia mucha gente tuvimos que pensar de esa protección, cómo nos protegemos nuestra salud, cómo caminamos en este mundo. Y ese es el tema y la esencia de que ella estaba diciendo, ¿qué es lo que quieres valorar en tu vida? ¿Qué valoras en tu vida? Ese es el camino de los guerrilleros. Y también otro punto que dijo nuestra amiga aquí, de artista, dijo que también ella hizo que es la cultura africana y la cultura que se llama que del sur, de aquí, de mexicanos, de centroamericanos, de los mayas mexicas, de las tribus indígenas del sur. Los los hizo en combinación porque ella quería reconocer la unidad que tenemos y paralelos en nuestro caminato en este mundo, en esta tierra. Y también dijo que las plantas que puso aquí al lado, como la sábila, aquí a mi izquierda, y a mi derecha aquí puso hierro, una flor que es nativa aquí también de California. Encontrar nuestras armas, esa medicina es nuestras armas. ¿Cuál es tu arma y qué es lo que tú valoras? Básicamente en ese, más o menos, no palabra por palabra, pero más o menos eso es lo que ella nos dijo de su tema. Denle un aplauso, por favor, persíguenos a Ranika Adachi en el Instagram, y también, por favor, persíguenos aquí en en WeRise www.mujeresdemaiz.com/WeRise. Perdón. Es que está todo de slash. No slash, pero ok. Mujeres de Maíz, We Rise, va a encontrar la página y el link allí. Pero también aquí donde estamos en el Instagram, en el YouTube, en el Facebook, allí va a haber los links en los chats, en los comentarios. Y si tienen una pregunta, por favor, pregunten. Estamos aquí para dar estos talleres. Está patrocinado por el condado de Los Ángeles de salud mental. Y se llama 4 direcciones para la salud honrando el sur. We are here with We Rise, Mujeres de Maíz, sponsored by Los Angeles County Mental Health Department. So, without further ado, we will continue our program, and thank you so much.
Thank you. And I want to thank Lily Ford and Mujeres de Maiz for giving me the opportunity to share with you all. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming through this. Yeah, so this is us together creating. So we're going to move on to the next person. Celina is going to come over here. She's Celina Jacques. She will tell you who she is because she's amazing. I can't even tell you how much. Vamos a darle la bienvenida a una experta, amiga, mujer hermosa, que nos va a explicar un poquito de lo que es la salud mental con el arte y comunidad y cómo todo se combina. Welcome, Celina Jacques.
Okay, hola, hello. Can I put it like a little lower? Okay. Closer. Hello. Hola. So yeah, hi, my name is Celina Jacques. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist and a board certified art therapist. My family has been from Texas and Chihuahua for generations. I identify as a Chicana indígena. Oh, somebody else over there from Chihuahua. So, that's me. And I'm here to share. Actually, I have my phone with me so I can remember some things that I want to share. Uy, la cartita otra vez con el número. So, we're here as part of the We Rise initiative from the LA County Department of Mental Health. And I think it's really fantastic because it's an example of decolonizing mental health. It's a nod towards acknowledging that health and wellness, especially emotionally and mentally, happens in community. It doesn't always happen in an official office building. Gracias. Ok, so me llamo Celina Jacques, soy una terapeuta licenciada de matrimonio y familias y también soy arte terapeuta. Mi familia es de Texas y Chihuahua y me identifico como chicana indígena. Ahora estoy aquí para hablar sobre el tema de We Rise LA por el Departamento de Salud Mental del Condado de Los Ángeles. Ahorita les voy a dar unos referencias. Aquí tengo mi teléfono porque tengo una lista de libros y de lugares donde pueden buscar ayuda con salud mental y emocional. So I'm going to give you a list of referrals, but I also just want to talk a little bit about why are we talking about art and mental health and how that works. As an art therapist, I forgot. I wanted to tell you guys. I never talk about this, but our friend Iñaco the other day was just golden about the way she shared everything, and I was like, I need to remember some stuff. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about me, so you know where I'm coming from and how I'm giving you this information, and I'm gonna try to be a little more intentional about explaining where I'm pulling different kinds of information and wisdom from. I have a bachelor's degree in studio art, a bachelor's degree in psychology, a master's degree in licensed marriage and family therapy, and then that is also a master's degree in art therapy. So basically, it's all about how can we use art and psychology together for healing your heart and your mind. And what goes sort of unsaid in Western psychology, but what we know in our ancestral wisdom is that our body and our minds and our spirit and our emotions are all interconnected. And so that's one thing that I think We Rise is really affecting differently than traditional just mental health stuff, is that we're acknowledging it's not just in your mind, it's not just your emotions. This has to do with your body, with your community, with your ancestral trauma, with what is happening and how we are living and affecting each other, both good and bad, in our community and in our society today. Ahora en español, así, back and forth. Okay, so a ver si lo puedo traducir. Okay, les voy a decir que me da nervios y a veces se me olvidan las palabras y entonces nomás me río, so I'm sorry. En español, ¿qué les digo? Que una cosa que me gusta de ser parte de We Rise es que estamos hablando, o no hablando, pero promoviendo, que la salud mental no nomás es en nuestra mente, en el cerebro, no nomás es las emociones, es en nuestro cuerpo y esto es en nuestra comunidad. Es en entendiendo que estas cosas no son, que sí son conectados, que tenemos que entrar a nuestra salud, así como una persona, how do you say whole, entera. Que no ponemos nomás atención a salud mental, a nuestra mente, pero también a las emociones y cómo nuestro cuerpo guarda toda esa información. So, I can tell you a little bit about how Western psychology describes how art is healing. I shared a little bit about this before, and I'll share it again. Has a lot to do with the way that we store information. Art is really the language of our soul. Image is the way that our mind records information and then basically plays it back to us in real time. We can feel it in our bodies, not just imagine it or experience it in our memories. So a good way to think about this, I like to describe it as remembering the first time you found love and the first time you got your heart broken. You remember that story, and everybody has their own different story, but we all know what that felt like. And so that's what art gets to, is the feeling of it, not so much the story. The story can be really important, but it's about that feeling. What's it like to go through that? And then how do you come through it? So un ejemplo de cómo el arte puede ayudar en desahogándonos es que la psicología nos dice que tenemos diferentes tipos de memoria. Tenemos memoria que es en palabra, y tenemos memoria que es en sentimiento. Y un ejemplo es cuando nos enamoramos. Todos tenemos una historia de eso y va a ser diferente, pero todos entendemos qué es esa emoción, cómo se siente en el cuerpo, cómo se siente cuando lo hablamos. Y eso es como arte puede ayudar, porque arte nos puede ayudar a expresar esos sentimientos sin palabras, que no tienen palabras. Podemos decir la historia, pero la cosa es que lo tenemos guardado adentro, sin palabras. Es una experiencia. Y arte puede dar un símbolo, una expresión para cosas que no tenemos palabras. Y por eso nos ayuda para desahogarnos cuando tenemos tantas experiencias, no nomás de nosotros, pero también de los antepasados y en la sociedad y la comunidad, que tenemos tanto guardado y ni sabemos cómo explicarlo, cómo decir la historia. Por eso arte puede ayudar. So I think, now I can't remember if I've gotten ahead of myself in Spanish or in English. So let me give you some resources here. That's the basics. Oh, also, put some questions down there. If we can put questions in the chat, I'm going to be popping in there. I'm going to also be writing in all these resources that I'm giving you so you can like reference it later. And I have a couple of questions in my mind that a few people have already asked. I'm going to get to those in a second as well. All right, so first is the LA County DMH hotline. So I'm going to give you the number. It's 1-800-854-7771. One more time, 1-800-854-7771. And that's 24/7 en inglés y en español también. I don't know if I know how to say this in Spanish. 800-854-7771. Esa es la línea de ayuda por el condado de Los Ángeles, el departamento de salud mental. The letters aren't the same in Spanish. Okay, ahora les voy a dar otras cosas porque muchas veces me preguntan, pero no puedo encontrar ayuda con alguien que habla mi idioma o que entiende mi comunidad. Y les quiero dar otros lugares donde buscar esto. So what I was just saying is that I'm going to give you some other resources. The DMH line is both in English and in Spanish, and I actually think they might have a bunch of other languages available. But a lot of times people are asking, how do I find a therapist that even speaks my language or understands my community? And so I'm going to give you a couple of other resources for that, because I think they're, it is true that a lot of times we're underrepresented in these areas. And at the same time, there's so many of us out there that speak the language, that are part of the community, that are working in this healing, that are learning or relearning our ancestral healing practices. We're out there. So here's some places to find us. All right, I'm going to look it up just to make sure. There's a place called Miracles Counseling Center that gives free or low-cost mental health support. You can also look on latinxtherapy.com, and that's specifically all therapists that identify as being Latinx themselves. There's also Therapy for Latinx. So those are two different ones, but they're good resources. And there's also inclusivetherapists.com, where you can search through different categories for what kind of therapist it is that you're looking for. So if you're looking for somebody who's LGBTQ plus friendly, there's a click box for that. If you're looking for someone who identifies as Latinx or Black or anything else, you can find inclusive therapists that are specifically running their healing practices based in social justice and inclusion. So those are some resources there for you. En español, pues más o menos lo voy a decir en inglés porque no sé. Es Miracles Counseling Center, que es miraclescc.org. latinxtherapy.com y therapyforlatinx.com and inclusivetherapists.com. Y en todos esos lugares pueden buscar terapeutas que hablan español o que son parte de la comunidad, que usted también siente que es parte de eso. One of the questions that I got was about how do you find a therapist that is good for you? How do you find somebody who is going to be able to help you and understand you? And what are some questions to ask? So you could, it's actually really great practice to look up a bunch of different therapists, give them a call, send them an email, and ask for a consultation. So some people give that for free and some people don't. Some people give you 10 minutes, some people give you an hour. Am I doing okay on time? Yeah? Okay. So you could just ask for that. Some people will answer the phone and do that on the spot or set up an appointment with you later. But it's really great to sort of interview your therapist. I think that it's important that we take that sense of agency back, that you're looking for someone who can help you. You don't have to just sign up with whoever comes in the door, and if they don't feel like a good fit for you, you're allowed to find somebody else. So you can ask questions that are important to you. For example, I have a therapist, most therapists have therapists. And the way that I found mine is I knew that I needed someone who spoke Spanish, even though you can hear my Spanish is Spanglish, but I needed somebody to understand that so that I didn't have to do that code switching in the middle of telling my trauma, right? I didn't want to have to explain colloquialisms or my little Spanglish things that I don't have another word for that. I don't want to have to explain that. I needed somebody who was going to get it when it comes out of my head all mixed up. So that was really important. I asked, do you speak Spanish? I specifically looked for somebody who was a person of color. That's not to be discriminatory, but to know, again, I needed somebody who was going to get what it's like living in this little brown body. Because if you haven't experienced that, then you don't get it. And so it's really important for me to have a therapist that's a person of color. So these are things that you can look for and you can ask about. It's not uncommon for you to ask, can you tell me a little bit about your approach to therapy? What's important to you? What spiritual practices do you include or not include in therapy? What are you open to? And seriously, there are therapists that include everything. There are therapists that can talk about astrology or tarot in the middle of your session and can tie this all in together. I think there's this preconception spirituality in therapy is only Christianity in therapy, like Christian counseling. And that's a thing in and of itself for the people who need that, but that's not the only way to include spirituality. And so it's okay to ask your therapist. And they may or may not say, this is like a therapist thing that therapists do. This isn't about me right now. This is about you. How can I help you? So they're going to say that. And then you're going to say, it's really important to me to know that I'm working with somebody who understands my background. You can say that. You're allowed. And then they can say, well, I don't know about that, but I'm willing to, have you bring that in and we can open that conversation. Or actually, I do work with that, and this is how I incorporate it. So these are questions that you can ask about spirituality, about background. You can ask, point blank, straight out. I want a therapist who's, fill in the blank, LGBTQ+, or who has had X experience in life, or who, whatever. You're allowed to say, this is exactly what I'm looking for, this is who I need. And if they're not that person, we are all really good at graciously letting you go and hopefully helping you find someone. So most therapists that I know, I guess I can't speak for all of us, but the ones that I know and myself, if I'm not the right person, I will tell you that right up front, hey, I've got a friend though, right? Or I've got a network. And most of us are really, really well connected within each other. So if I can't help you, I'm going to send you to my friend who does. Or if I'm not trained in a certain type of therapy, there are certain types of therapy that are sometimes more desirable because people are trying to do certain healing techniques. And so if I'm not trained in a thing, I'll send you to my friend who's trained in the thing. I can tell you guys more about that, but I don't know if people want to hear about that. Put it in the chat if you want to hear more about that. All right, en español, tenía una pregunta que preguntaron, ¿cómo puedo buscar o encontrar a una terapeuta que me pueda ayudar en mi salud mental, pero que me entiende? Y cómo, ¿qué les pregunto? ¿Cómo agarro esa información? Y lo que estaba diciendo es que es completamente normal y le ayuda mucho si habla a varias terapeutas y les pregunta. Les dice, a mí es muy importante que hablen español. Si no habla español, ok, no va a ser ayudarle para usted. es bien. Puede decir, mira, yo practico este tipo de espiritualidad y quiero saber si lo conoces o si puedes usar eso en nuestro tratamiento. Si dicen que sí, qué bueno. Si dicen que no, está bien. El trabajo de una terapeuta es ayudar a la persona. Y si eso es que yo no puedo ayudar, entonces yo voy a ayudarla a encontrar a alguien que sí puede. Les voy a decir, yo tengo una amiga que sí practica esa cosa o que ella sí entiende más de esto y yo voy a ayudarles a encontrar lo que necesitan. Entonces voy a hacer ok, ahora les voy a dar unos libros en inglés primero. So there's some books to read that I want to offer. So these are alternatives to some really great books that are written by authors who are maybe not people of color. They are also really wonderful books, and if anybody's in academia, you know that the white authors are going to be the ones that are more well known. So here are some that aren't. My Grandmother's Hands, Radicalized Trauma and the Pathway to Mending Our Hearts and Bodies. That's by Resma Menakem. And this is a really amazing book that talks about Black bodies, white bodies, and police bodies, and how all of those different bodies of people hold and experience trauma in different ways, and then how they're acted out throughout our lives and experiences. Another one is Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome, America's Legacy of Enduring Injury and Healing. This is by Joy DeGruy. I think that's how you say her name. And another one is called The Deepest Well by Nadine Burke Harris. And The Visceral Logics of Decolonization by Neetu Khanna. So I need to read some of these. If y'all want to start a book club, let me know, because I would love to sit down and have some conversations about this stuff. So I just wanted to share that. I think it's really helpful sometimes to be able to do our own reading, get our own information and understanding. A lot of times it's hard to even look for help if you don't even know what you're dealing with, right? I've definitely talked to people before, even to my own family members, when I'm like, look for a therapist. It'll be really helpful. Tell them what you need. And then the answer is I don't know what I need. What do I need? But I don't know. I don't even know what to ask for, right? And so that leads me into the next question. The next question was, how do I know when to be real about myself, when to share openly and let them know kind of all about me. So this is another thing I think that happens when we're a person of color and we're working with someone who maybe isn't, or we're not sure, right? We didn't go in asking these questions like, do you get me? Do you understand me? That kind of thing. And so we sort of we're doing that code switch thing, right? You know, we're showing up, we're trying to be super proper and academic maybe, and maybe give the other person the platform, to be the expert, but we're our expert on ourselves. And so a lot of times we edit ourselves and we don't share openly either about our trauma. I've had the experience before of feeling well, I don't know if you can handle this, right? I don't know what you've been through in your life, and if I'm going to drop all this stuff, are you going to be shocked? Are you going to cry? Are you going to pathologize me, right? If I tell you my spiritual experiences, are you going to tell me I'm having hallucinations, or I did too much drugs when I was in high school? Right? We edit stuff because we know that we're being judged and we're afraid of that, and there's this huge stigma in mental health, especially that as soon as you start to talk about things that aren't mainstream or that are weird or that are spiritual, that we're going to get labeled as crazy. So I get that question of how do I know when it's safe? And so my answer would be, one, start at the beginning, right? So when I show up in my therapist's office, right, I sent her an email and I told her, I need a person of color who speaks Spanish, who's done spiritual work, who won't be weirded out by all of my weird, indigenous practices, right? I said it, just like that, and that's how I started out. Super open to tell her about who I was. Then once I knew, she was yeah, I'm on board, and she shared with me what some of her background was, and so I felt safe enough. And for me, that was enough to know, all right, this lady's she lived in an ashram for I don't know how many years, and I know where she's coming from, right? I've never had that experience, but I know now that she has a very deep-seated spiritual practice that may or may not include mystical work. And so that's one of the first places. When you show up, you be you. You be all of you, and you say, I've got all of this childhood trauma. Or honestly, I don't know if I have trauma, but I'm really struggling in these kind of ways. Another thing that people are really, really scared to talk about is, and And I feel like even just saying it out loud right now, there's like, I feel a little like, all right, I'm going to say it. So people struggle with talking about feeling suicidal or feeling like hurting themselves. The fear is as soon as I say something like that, they're going to sweep me away, put me in a mental hospital, and I'm never going to see the light of day again. And that's not true. I will tell you right now that it doesn't happen that way. It happens sometimes, but only if you're in imminent danger. Usually, most of us, like really, really honestly, from a therapist who talks to tons of people, I've been doing this for 20 years, most of us have had a moment where we felt like that. Some of us have lots of them. Some of us have reoccurring moments. Some of us have this background feeling of like, I'm just, like, I would be okay if I wasn't here, right? And it comes out of all the things that we've experienced, right? It comes out of our trauma. It comes out of our collective trauma. It comes out of the way that we understand loss and life. And so people are afraid to talk about that stuff because they think they're going to get, like, in trouble if they talk about that. And the truth is that we know, as mental health providers, that it's not that uncommon to have a period of time in your life where you feel really depressed and where that depression is affecting you in some of these ways. So if that's a question of like, when is it okay for me to share that? Again, right off the bat. So that's going to help me. Like if I'm just meeting somebody, it's one of the first questions I ask. So if somebody doesn't bring it up, I'm going to ask them, is this something that you've ever thought about? Is this something that you've ever felt? Is this something that you've ever experienced or tried? Because it's less scary if you talk about it. It's scarier if you never mention it, right? And so then if I'm just meeting somebody, they never mention it, and then all of a sudden, all this stuff comes up, I know that I didn't lay the groundwork enough for them to have the strength and support system that they need to get through those kind of things when they happen. Okay, so a ver si puedo decir todo eso en español. Lo que estoy... ¿Mande? Sí. Yeah, okay. Sí, no palabra por palabra, ¿verdad? Tengo una luz prendida aquí, no sé cómo se prendió. Ok. So, lo que estaba diciendo es que tenía una pregunta que dijo, ¿cómo puedo encontrar una terapeuta que es para mí? ¿Y cuándo puedo ser auténtica en quién soy? Porque tenemos un miedo que si compartimos cómo de veramente nos sentimos o qué hemos pasado en nuestra vida, que no nos van a entender o que nos van a juzgar. Y si nos juzgan, entonces que tal vez hay unas consecuencias que nos van a poner en un hospital, que nos van a decir que somos locos o lo que sea. Tenemos ese temor que no queremos a alguien que nos piensa así. La verdad es que en 20 años de trabajar en salud mental, todas las personas que he ayudado, es muy común que todos tenemos un punto en la vida que pasamos por una depresión, que pasamos por pensamientos que nos queremos suicidar o que nomás no queremos estar en la situación que estamos. Y nos da miedo decir eso porque creemos que vamos a ser juzgados. Y lo que yo recomiendo es decir eso en primer punto. Eso soy yo y con eso necesito ayuda. Esto yo he experienciado en mi vida, tengo esta trauma o lo que sea. Porque si esperamos, entonces no podemos agarrar la ayuda en la forma que necesitamos. Yo sé que cuando yo estoy trabajando con alguien y no sé eso del pasado de ellos, entonces cuando sale, yo pienso a mí misma, no los preparé y sí los puedo preparar para poder sobrevivir estos sentimientos. So, es muy importante compartir todo eso primeramente. Si son otras cosas que creemos, me van a creer loca o como muy rara, es mejor, porque si vamos a entrar en una relación que es tan íntima, agarrar ayuda por las emociones y traumas y cosas así, y entramos como how do you say hide? We're hiding part of ourselves, escondiendo un parte de nosotros, entonces no pueden entendernos todos, no pueden ayudarnos con todo lo que necesitamos. So, es muy importante y no es tan como dramático. Entendemos que esto pasa y hay unas pasas para what's that? Stages? Etapas de agarrar ayuda y apoyo. no brincamos así a poner a alguien en el hospital o algo así. Buscamos apoyo en la comunidad, en la familia, en otros tratamientos, cosas así. So I was just added in Spanish that I didn't say in English, that there are stages of getting help for that kind of stuff. And so you're going to get help in the community, in your own support system, and maybe in other treatment modalities. That's something that I also think is really important, is that if you're working on healing your emotions, you also need to be working on healing your body. You also need to be working on healing your relationships. These are all interconnected. So those are part of the steps that we take when we're helping you. So I don't know that's something that you're dealing with, and I'm not going to recognize how important it is to make sure that we have a certain support system in place for you. Stuff like that. All right, so those are the answers to the 2 questions. I'm hoping that we get some more questions. I'm going to drop these referral sources into the chat in a little bit, and I'm hoping we can answer some more questions. And I think that's it for the next thing. All right, thank you so much for being here with Mujeres de Maiz. With We Rise. All right.
Yay! Thank you so much for all the important information, Celina Jacques. She's a beautiful artist, obviously a beautiful soul también. She has offered many of our Sanación Sunday or Self-Care Sunday workshops. They are recorded oftentimes on our YouTube and our Instagram TV, our IGTV at Mujeres de Maiz. So you can find ones from last year, different art therapy under an hour, about 45 minutes on our IGTV where she's offered art therapy. They're really relaxing, beautiful, and you come out with a beautiful piece of reflection or art. So check those out. She also forgot to mention, I think that she has a Patreon. We'll talk about it. We'll bring it up later. Yeah, so where you can find out more about those resources and offerings that she has. So thank you so much to Celina for offering that. Muchas gracias a Celina Jacques por apoyar, por compartir, por toda la información que ha compartido. Obvia, que tiene como terapista ayudando a gente, pero también ella tiene un panteón donde se puede donar poquito, como $5 al mes, y puede tener acceso a diferentes talleres en línea en su página. También tiene diferentes programas en Instagram TV, en nuestra Instagram TV que de Mujeres de Maiz, donde se queda sus talleres, que están menos de 1 hora, y allá se pueden tener como tallercitos de terapia, arte terapia. Entonces, me gustaría invitar a nuestro compañero a empezar a organizarse aquí, a hacer su sonido en la manera atrás o aquí cerca de mí. A ratito vamos a tener a George Magallanes, que es un artista, hace cantante, pero también es organizadora de la comunidad, si no sabía, o si no se anota ahorita. So in a little bit, I'm going to welcome George Magallanes, who is going to be singing some of our favorite mariachi songs, right? One of the things that Celina talked about yesterday or 2 days ago, I think it was, at Pavagna, a sacred site on Long Beach, the sacred in Achaman land. She talked about, in the same, another pop-up mural, she talked about desahogar, I like that translation that you did in English, because I usually say desahogar is just like to take away or let go of, but she was saying undrowning myself or drowning yourself, and I was like, desahogar, I was like, undrowning, in the dictionary, I don't think it's going to have that, but it was a really beautiful way of talking about it, porque, you don't, it makes sense spiritually, culturally, in a lot of ways. So she was talking about desahogar and music, especially mariachi music, amongst many other music, is a way to desahogar for many of our communities. George connects with the Compton Cowboys. He connects with Connecting Compton, connects in East LA and Boyle Heights. You probably seen him walking down First Street and organizing as a political organizer and community organizer. Pero if you didn't know, now you know que también canta. He also sings and does mariachi, and I really when we came and we decided to do, you know, in the 4 directions of 4 directions unidas para la salud, 4 direcciones unidas para united for mental health. We are doing 5 different events in 4 directions of Los Angeles County as part of the We Rise Mujeres de Maiz. And so it was really important for us to be, we've been in Long Beach as the Southwest, we've been in West Side, which was at Pico Youth and Family Center. Today we're in the South or Watts Compton area. And Monday we'll be in Pasadena in the North, which is Pasadena direction at Mercadito Monarca. And one more next Monday, May 31st, also known as Memorial Day, where we'll be in East. And oftentimes Mujeres de Maiz is always in the East Side, East LA, Boyle Heights, and we really are kind of centric in that area. But we're going even farther east to un rancho que se llama Rancho Bugarín, donde lo vamos a tener charros y escaramuzas y música de también mariachi y otro tipo de música. So we're going to be going east and have a fully monolingual Spanish event there in Rancho Bugarín, which is from some of our Zacatecano familia, our friends from Zacatecas, Mexico, who have a rancho there and who are very connected to horse and equestrian and the caballo culture, which I know George is going to talk about connecting all the dots también. So you good? You ready?
I think we're ready. Test one. I think we're ready.
Ooh.
That sounds
all right.
right.
So I need you to be in this video. I know you like to probably maneuver and be the like connecting
What's up,
self.
Instagram?
And Facebook and YouTube and Twitter.
And hopefully we have people from Watts logged on.
Yes.
Compton, South LA.
Introduce George Magallanes.
Thank you, Fed.
Let's
Thank
do a
you
round
so
of applause.
much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Me. Give me a little moment here. Test 1, 2. Test. Yeah. So I didn't bring all the mariachi because they haven't all had their shots yet. So once they get vaccinated, they can come hang out with me. But I want to thank Fed for before I start letting me be a part of this, and I hope not to disappoint. But I'm not a certified mariachi. I'm an entertainer, organizer. I'm just a jack of all trades, really. I grew up in Boyle Heights, in public housing projects there, and have always felt a need to help and to be a part of something bigger than me. And I'm very grateful that I was able to take music classes at my public schools because my mom couldn't afford to put me in music schools or academies as other kids do, right? And so I take pride in that everything I've done has been publicly financed. And we got to continue to do that. So we got to keep investing in our youth. I want to thank Celina for her kind words. I mean, it sounded like a song. I really felt that she was talking to me and to millions of people out there. So with that, I'm gonna sing a song and I'll talk a little bit about that song after. So it'll be a little treat. So hang in there. I'm gonna do a couple songs. Let's see if this comes out here. It might be a little too loud. How's that? Already sounds good. You feel el desahogo en la música también. Se te olvida que me quieres a pesar de lo que dices, pues llevamos en el alma cicatrices imposibles de borrar. Se te olvida y hasta puedo hacerte mal si me decido, pues tu amor lo tengo muy comprometido, pero a fuerza no será. But then came thunder, and I heard her say goodbye through tears of wonder. Now I'm all alone, and my heart wants to know, yellow days, where'd you go? Life is empty, and the sunlight seems so harsh instead of tender, and her laughter's just an echo I'll remember from yellow days. yellow days. This song was performed by Frank Sinatra in English and Javier Solis in Spanish. It was written in Mexico City for two of the best artists in the 60s, Javier Solis and Frank Sinatra. So that's the English version of it. Por mi parte, te devuelvo tu promesa de adorarme y ni siquiera sientas pena por dejarme. Ese pacto no es con Dios. That like I mentioned, that song was performed by Frank Sinatra with a huge orchestra and Javier Solis with a huge mariachi. So it's, mariachi is just like a big jazz band, a big orchestra. So bear with me. I took this song here, and another beautiful song. It's a bolero. We have different types of Spanish. You have rancheras, you have different styles, boleros, and so this is like our jazz. And very pretty songs. And sorry about my rough voice, but the long night. Rosadito last night. I just got back. Siéntate a mi lado, mi reciente amiga. Tómate una copa mientras escuchamos aquella canción. I don't think you know me. I for sure don't know you. But right at this moment, I would love to have you right here by my side. If you turn to see me, and my tears are rolling, it's not that I'm crying, it's that I've been smoking, and it got in my eyes. He's lying. Come and sit beside me. Help me drink this bottle. And while I recover from all of this crying, there's a smoke in my eyes. We don't like to admit when we cry, because it's a sign of weakness for many people. But it really isn't. It's a sign of strength. If you can feel love, and if you can feel that you lost love, it's a feeling. And you cry. That's a sign that you're alive. That's when you're born crying. And when we die crying. It's okay. No duele. Si ves en mis ojos en lágrimas que corren, no es que estoy llorando, es que estoy fumando y en un momentito siéntate a mi lado, tómate una copa mientras está secando el humo peleando en mis ojos de fuego. Thank you. It was yeah. I really do feel that through music is the best way to connect with people. I mean, it really is, and to connect with yourself too. That's why, if you're feeling sad and you're feeling lonely, put on some music. Put something that's gonna make your soul move a little. And a lot of the times, we want to sit in our darkness, or we want to be and feel that, but you know, when you read a book, you're wherever that book is. You know, when you're reading something or when you listen to that, that's where it takes you. So do more of that and really follow Mujeres de Maiz and Celina and everyone that's here sharing their art. Like I said, I'm a community organizer. I've always worked. I'm working in Compton right now with the Compton Cowboys. When I moved to Compton, I was driving with my 4-year-old on Compton Boulevard, and a horse popped out of the Compton Creek. I was like, what in the world is a horse doing in Compton? So like everybody, I pulled over, took out my phone. I'm like, can we take pictures with your horse? And I started asking him. I said, well, you know, where are these horses? Where are you from? And he pointed. He said, go about a mile up there, and you'll see more horses. So it's a little community in Compton called Richland Farms, and a lot of people don't know that there's an agricultural community there. So there's people there that grow vegetables, and they share them with their neighbors. Um, a lot of people don't sell their vegetables. They really do take pride in what they're giving you. And so when I went there, I connected with the Compton Cowboys, who were just starting themselves and reimagining who they were. They had an equestrian program. My son was too young at the time, and they connected with me, and they sent me to the rancheros. They're like, look, go check with the rancheros over there. They'll lend you a horse, and we did, and we connected. Um, I had my 4-year-old, and I asked him. I said, hey, so you know, I don't want to go to Griffith Park. I'm right here. So what's up? And he said, just bring your son whenever you're here. And so it became my routine. Every time I had my son with me, Saturday mornings we'd wake up, we'd go help feed their horses, help clean. And now I'm the proud owner of 2 beautiful stallion horses. And I didn't even want those horses at this point, but I got them. And it really, you know, we take the community there is organizing now. The rancheros and the cowboys are working together on bringing awareness to Compton. We have a bad rap. You know, we have a bad rap. I mean, and NWA left that, you know, that culture, that appearance that it still exists. And if you go there now, like I'm serious, I'd blow your mind away. I mean, I'll take you on a helicopter tour because we have an airport in Compton too. I mean, people don't know, you know. And so a lot of times we want to continue to do that work and show folks that we can do that. So we're working with the assembly member. They got money for the first trail in Compton ever. Like, we don't have a sign. There's nothing that tells you there's a horse. There's no crossing lights. I fell on my horse. A couple people have fallen because Artesia is like a freeway sometimes. But that money's that's gone in, and we organized. We went in, met the assembly member, brought them out to community cleanup, and said, we need some money here. We have horses, and we have nothing here for us. So with that, I want to thank you. And I'm gonna do one more song. I'm gonna do. So let me tell you about horses. It's the most beautiful thing. Like, my horse knows when I'm sad. Like, he really does know. Like, when I go feed him and I stand behind him, he puts his big head right over my chest and he squeezes me like a hug. He hugs me, and I, you know, some of the ranchers, they look at me like, why you make out with your horse? I'm like, dude, he's beautiful. He hugs me, and I go, and my son, the same thing. You know, these horses, these animals, they really do feel your energy. And when you're around the horses, whatever you were sad about, it tends to go away. It's natural therapy. You know, like, you don't have to take a pill for that. You really just go stand next to a horse, touch them. Obviously, not all horses are the same, right? You gotta be careful. Someone will kick you. Mine doesn't. And you know, and so the horses is what connects Compton. You know, whether you speak English or Spanish, or if you don't speak English, you could communicate about horses. You know, and I love seeing that because I take some of the rancheros to the Compton Cowboys facility, and they communicate like vaqueros. Like, I'm talking about the rancheros. So there's the paisanos. These are like guys from you know, from Jalisco, from Mexico. They grew up in ranches, and they were like me, like, oh, there's ranches in Compton, and now they won't leave. You know, they're there. We have goat milk in the morning with a little bit of alcohol just to, you know, make it. But it's really It's pajarete. It's called pajarete. It's fresh goat milk, and I do leche caliente too. And it's a very beautiful community. We gotta get you guys out there. Mujeres de Maiz is gonna go live one day from our ranches, and but it really is a beautiful place. I mean, if you ever in LA and you wanna check something out, 20 minutes. We're just 20 minutes south of LA. It really is a hub city, and I do take pride. I'm gonna show them. Yes, I'm not taking off my clothes, but Hub City, Hub City, Hub City. Compton is the hub city. It really is the center of everything. I mean, you're close to Long Beach, Carson. It's a beautiful place, and you know the work that the Compton Cowboys are doing is amazing. You know they're sharing this art with kids that can't afford to own a horse. You know they can't afford to own a trailer. And some of the guys that own horses don't own trailers. Your horse is stuck in Compton. You're just gonna ride on the streets. So we ride on the streets of Compton. We've used horses to do outreach. I did some work with county with Compton when they were upgrading the water system because it was bad. We took 5 horses, a couple of the guys from the Compton Cowboys and some rancheros, and residents were in awe. They were like, "Wow, you guys are doing outreach on horses," and you know, and it was a beautiful thing. It really is a good way to communicate. But yeah, I want to thank you for that. And like I said, I'm an entertainer. I'll do whatever it needs so I can make you laugh. And I really do like making people laugh. I was class clown in school and all that good stuff. And I still have relationships with my high school teachers. We're still friends. You know, the principals that have gone before, because you know a lot of the work that we did in Boyle Heights, it really did transform that community. I mean, you know, it's a little different now, but it's not Highland Park yet. You know, still Raza. So I really I'm proud. I take my horse to Boyle Heights. I take my horse to the housing projects that I grew up in, and I give kids free rides and let them feel, you know, part of this. And some of the homeboys that are there, you know, I remember them growing up, and they remember me. And one of my friends said, "Hey man, you know, a lot of the guys come back to the neighborhood in sports cars, and they want to show off that they're successful. Like, you came back with a horse, dude, and you're giving kids rides. Like, what the hell?" And I was like, "Oh, you know, I didn't think about that." And so you know, with that again, I really want to thank the other artists and you know the prayers that we did, the opening up, and I really I'm proud and glad to be here. It's not my first time in Watts. I've done a lot of work with Aquila Sherrills, bridging the gap with Black and Brown years ago at Cal State LA. We took kids from Watts and kids from East LA because there was a lot of racial tension in our communities in the 90s and 2000. And so that's something that was starting to happen in Compton as well. And so through the work of the Compton Cowboys and the work of, you know, the rancheros that are there, you know, things are getting a lot better. And so with that, yes, questions? They're Black cowboys, straight up with tattoos and earrings and rappers. We did. Randy Savvy, the executive director, is working with Dr. Dre, and they already produced a song. So if you follow Compton Cowboys, you'll see that song. We actually did. We did an acoustic rendition of a rap song that he wrote called "Colorblind." And it's a very beautiful song. It's a powerful song. The message is good. You know, it's what's happening in a lot of communities. So we did an acoustic rendition, and him and I are going to continue to do work. We're going to continue. Yeah, so follow Compton Cowboys are on Instagram and Facebook. So if you go there and just type in Compton Cowboys, they'll show up. They blew up after the Black Lives Matter. There is a documentary on them, and there was a book that was just written. Walter, who grew up in Watts, wrote the book about Compton Cowboys, and it tells the stories about, you know, some of the guys, and you know they grew up in tough neighborhoods. Some of them have been in jail, and they've gotten out. And horses change your life. I mean, because these are 3,000-pound animals that require you to feed them and give them water, or they'll die. You know, like you have something that big that's depending on you. So anything that you're going through, the horse is like, I got you. If you don't feed me, I die. So feed me. But again, I want to invite you over to Compton. If you guys are ever there, if anyone on Instagram, follow me and message me, and we'll connect. We'll make sure that we do something here. En español. Bien rápido. Quiero darle las gracias. Cuando nací, no se crean. De veras, quiero darle las gracias por dejarme participar aquí como en un minutito voy a decir lo que estamos hablando, pero es muy importante la coordinación de la música, el arte. Estaba hablando de los caballos que tenemos en Compton. Hay una comunidad en Compton que hay caballos y muchas personas piensan que nomás en Pico Rivera o Griffith Park, en esas áreas, pero estamos orgullosos del trabajo que se está tomando a cabo en Compton con los Compton Cowboys y con los rancheros de ahí, ¿verdad? Pues esperamos de seguir trabajando. Sigan a los Compton Cowboys, follow Compton Cowboys, and let's continue to connect there. Anything else? I'm going to do Jose Alfredo Jimenez song, only because that's one of the, you feel some of that stuff. Let me see here. El desahogo, uno de desahogo. Un desahogo. A ver si nos sale. I don't know if I can hit that high note on this song, but I'm going to try it. This is one of those songs where like you're heartbroken. Great. No quiero ni volver a oír tu nombre. No quiero ni saber a dónde vas. Así me lo dijiste aquella noche, aquella negra noche de mi mar. Si yo te hubiera dicho, no te vayas, qué triste me esperaba el porvenir. Si yo te hubiera dicho, no te vayas, mi propio corazón se va a reír. Por eso fue que me viste tan tranquilo, caminar serenamente bajo un cielo más que azul. Y después de haber me aguanté hasta donde pude, terminé llorando a mares donde no me vieras tú. He was hiding because he wanted to cry. Si yo te hubiera dicho no te vayas, qué triste me esperaba el porvenir. Si yo te hubiera dicho no me dejes, mi propio corazón se iba a reír. He doesn't want you to leave, but he doesn't want to tell you because he doesn't want his heart to laugh at you. Por eso fue que me viste tan tranquilo, caminar serenamente bajo un cielo más que azul. Y después de haber me aguanté hasta donde pude, terminé llorando a mares donde no me vieras. Si yo te hubiera dicho no te vayas, qué triste me esperaba el porvenir. Si yo te hubiera dicho no te vayas, mi propio corazón se iba a reír. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Faye. I want to thank you. Thank the audience that was on live with us. So with that, Faye, I want to call you back up and you're gonna sing a song. But thank you very much. I appreciate you letting me be a part of this, and thank you, thank you, thank you.
Check. Uno, dos. Muchas gracias, George Magallanes. Super appreciate you coming out to your community or next door.
Right next door. 12 minutes away.
Yo pensé que era como 2, 3. And honoring and connecting in that way to have to come on and share some of the music, right? That hits your corazón, whether you understand the words or not, whether you've heard the song or not, you still can connect with the music and kind of hear that feeling, right? The emotions, the energy. And I think you were beginning to talk a little bit about you could talk about gender, right? And gender roles and connection, and also cultural connections and cultural socialization that has happened a lot with men and men of color, and specifically men within Mexican, Latinx, Central American communities oftentimes, but also many that are not always bringing out the emotions. And the only time there's finally some of the emotions is through the music, right? And especially mariachi or paisano music, norteño banda, where people finally are able to cry, oftentimes with something that's like what was mentioned in the song, with alcohol or other things. But hopefully we're looking at other positive ways, including to connect with how we can desahogar, how can we let go of emotions and feelings, not necessarily let go, but transform them and change them. And one of the ways that we're doing that, and one of the ways that George shows that so well, is through music, right? And also his other parts of himself, right? You might just see a mariachi, think, oh, un mariachi. No, pero también organiza, comedy, right? Hace poquito de todo. And also I felt, right, when you were talking about some of the energy or what you felt hearing Onyi Love in the beginning when you arrived, right? And you heard the music and the singing, and also Ranika sharing about the mural pop-up, the installation that we have behind that we'll be doing a mural tour in just a bit, and kind of taking the people who are watching through virtual reality or digitally into it, so that you see a little bit more of the 3D-ness of it. But in just a bit, we're going to have Hood Herbalism. We're going to have Jess and John Heido from Hood Herbalism. If you haven't heard of Hood Herbalism, make sure to check them out at Instagram, not hashtag, but the @Hood Herbalism. We're getting all kinds of hearts on Instagram real quick for that. So Hood Herbalism, they'll talk a little bit more about it. Y'all ready? Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. So they'll talk a little bit more about it, but I wanted to thank everybody who's been here so far. I also wanted to shout out to Iya Globo, to Jeanette, and the compañero Benny, who are documenting this. Let's give us a hello to everybody who's over there. Many of you have already met them through the other events, or come up. Maybe eventually you can kind of come behind the screen or this side of the screen and say hi. We've been able to tag them a little bit in some of the videos and photos that they've shared. So thank you so much for documenting the 5 events in 4 directions. So after today, we have 2 more. Monday, May 24th at Mercadito Monarca in Pasadena for our north direction, and then our east direction on Monday, May 31st. So we invite you to reshare this. We're about to have a workshop from Hood Herbalism. So this will stay on our YouTube, our Instagram, as well as our Facebook page. So feel free to share away right now if you want somebody to take a look at it, or make sure to bookmark it so that we can see it later. So without further ado, we're gonna ask Hood Herbalism to introduce themselves and share a workshop. Let's bring them up. I was like, oh, that's a photo. They're amazing. They made themselves invisible.
I can do that.
Hi everyone. Oh, let me take this off. Hello.
So tell us if you can hear.
I know. Can you hear from here?
Yeah.
Not really, huh? It's kind of low. Yeah. I'm little, so. Does this sound better? Okay. Hi everyone. You know, I was feeling a little camera shy before this. So I was like, oh man, I gotta get up here in front of all these cameras.
And then I heard the mariachi, and my grandmother, this is part of mental health, right? Grief. My grandmother passed away last year, and she loved mariachi. Entonces, siento el espíritu de mi abuela aquí conmigo, and I feel really grounded. I feel really like she just pushed me. Like I was like, okay, feeling nervous. I'm not a shy person in person, but like to be on cameras, I'm like this. I feel weird, but it's all good because my grandma's right here, and she's like, get out of here. So anyway, I just wanted to share that. That's part of mental health, right? Is grief and moving through those feelings, and I feel really, really grateful for George for singing mariachi because that really brought my abuela here. So thank you. I'm Jessica. I've been facilitating Hood Herbalism classes for 2 years now in person, back when we had them in person. And now John and I have been doing this for a year through this wild, wild time. You know, we've had so many beautiful people come through online classes, and we'll talk a little bit more about that shortly. But I'm Jessica. My family is from Central America, so Salvador and Guatemala. Hey, that's where we're from. And I was born here on Tongva land, and this is where I've been ever since. I'm so grateful to be here and just feel really rooted and work done here in LA. You know, I went to college outside LA, and I was like, no, I gotta go back. I need to be home. And I feel really good since I've been home the past 5-6 years, just, being here in community with people who are invested in the different communities here. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Jess, for sharing that. So if y'all don't know, Jess and I met each other in college. We met each other about 6-7 years ago. We both went to UC Berkeley together, and that's when we started to get involved in herbalism. And where we met Bere, who is the creator and founder of Hood Herbalism. We were both part of that first cohort of students within Hood Herbalism. I joined a year ago when we started virtually, but we both did the workshops in person. And again, before I go further on, I just want to say thank you to everybody for just bringing and creating this beautiful space to the beginning prayer. It just allowed me to really connect to that sweetness that we were talking about, that sweetness in our breath, which is related to some of the plants that we're going to talk about. The message of unity, the mariachi, which brought all these feelings that I wasn't expecting to feel, and I didn't want to feel. And I was like, oh man, I have to think about that again. But it's okay, you know, it's all part of it. So I'm grateful that we're talking about it and that we're able to really think about our well-being, which is so important. And there's so much stigma in our community about taking care of ourselves that we have to stick it, be strong, quote unquote, whatever that means. And we have to hide things, which is not how we do things. It's not how we've done things. It's a very, a way of being that doesn't allow us to be whole. So I want to remind us, what does it mean to be whole? Again, my name is John Jairo Valencia. I also grew up on Tongva territory in Boyle Heights and La Puente. My ancestors are from multiple places. I'm also from those families that have been many generations in Texas and Chihuahua, so West Texas, Northern Chihuahua with ancestors, the Ramuri people and the Cumano people. I'm also from, my grandfather's from Aguascalientes, Mexico, and my father's from Colombia, from Medellin, in the Andes, so many places that I come from. I always have identity crisis, it's okay. But yeah, a little bit about me. And before we get started, just wanted to do a little grounding about why it's so important for us to connect to plants. We've had many beautiful teachings this whole morning that are talking to us about what does it mean to connect with things that allow us to feel whole. The plants themselves are teachers, whether we think about it or not, whether we know it or not. We were talking about, what does it mean to connect to our ancestors? What does it mean to connect to the lands that we're from and the lands that we occupy and the peoples of those lands? And also, someone mentioned, I don't remember who, but someone before us mentioned that, connecting to our ancestors, both human and non-human. And we often forget that plants are also our ancestors. They're some of the oldest ancestors that we can connect with that are present with us at this moment. So if we want to do that ancestor work, if we want to connect with all those things, remember that those beings are here with us and we are to build that reciprocal relationship with them. So before we get started with talking about all the beautiful things that we're going to share, the medicine that Jess has, that we have here on this table, reminding us that we are to give gratitude to the things that are around us, the abundance that Mother Earth provides to us, the medicine that she offers us, that they offer us. So with that, I want to give thanks to all the plants that we have here with us, the plants that are with us every single day, that are around all of us right now, those roses growing over there, this bird of paradise tree, all these things that are around us. So we want to give gratitude and give thanks to them for protecting us, for guiding us, for teaching us, for holding us, for healing us. Because without that gratitude and that relationship and that recognition that they are taking care of us, we can't make that medicine that we're going to teach today. So before anything, we want to teach and remind us, because that's how we were taught, that we are to give gratitude to them for being here with us, for being here before us, and having that medicine that we need in order to continue on. So with that, I'll pass it to Jess to continue.
Thanks, John. Yeah, so just, following up on that, I'll introduce the space of Hood Herbalism a little bit. So Hood Herbalism was started, 5 years ago now, by somebody named Berenice Dimes. And Better's not here with us today. I don't know if you're watching, Better, but hi, thank you for Hood Herbalism. No, really, Hood Herbalism is such a gift. And so about 5 years ago, Better came back down to LA. We kind of all came back down at the same time from the Bay Area. And yeah, just kind of wanted to teach these classes and have a community and a collective of people who were invested in plants and building relationships with plants in a decolonial, big word, right? Decolonial way and relationship, right? And so the class started in Linwood. It was a small class in Brenda's backyard, and it was dope. And from there, it just took off. And it's really just come to life in so many ways. And we're really invested in talking about the plants in these ways and honoring and thanking the plants and the elements for all the medicine they bring us. And really to recenter the voices and the narrative of plants and herbalism from Black and Indigenous folks and communities all around the world, right? Like, this didn't belong to nobody. Like, the earth is the earth, and the plants and the medicine that they bring, that nobody owns that. And so, in talking about mental health and in talking about self-care and these big hub words through Hood Herbalism, we want to restore that narrative that this doesn't belong to anybody, right? These corporations that sell these big old, like, hella essential oils for hella expensive, or all these herbs that get, over harvested and on indigenous land. Like, that's not what it's all about. And so we're trying to bring it back, right? And trying to bring this practice and, really these practices back to the community. And so that's what we've been doing. They're trying to do for 5 years. Since everything happened, we have online classes now. So it's really beautiful because we've had people from Australia, from Brazil, all across the country tuning into our classes and sharing the medicine that they offer too. So it's really just been incredible. And I just wanted to introduce us and Hood Herbalism as this space that we invite you all to engage with in whatever way you'd like. We have these classes that you can sign up for. You can go to hoodherbalism.com. There's like a whole page, and you can see what we've done and what's coming. And there's also, we have plans for a youth event, or a youth program where we'll invite youth to take our class. And we've done this in the past before. And then when we can be in person again, in some capacity, we'll have those again too, and we'll have events. So I just want to invite you all to continue to engage with us, follow us on Instagram, whatever feels good, right? Cool. So anything you want to add about Hood Herbalism before I get started? Cool. Okay. So today, before we even get into demos or get into what everything is here on the table, I wanted to talk about something, and this is a concept that comes from Amanda David, an herbalist from Rootwork Herbals. Y'all should also follow and look her up. But we wanted to just contextualize and ground us in the idea that and this is something that we've been doing in Hood Herbalism too, is we don't want to talk just about the uses of plants, right? And I'll explain a little bit more. We don't want the relationship that we're creating and sharing and I guess sustaining with plants to just be on a basis of use, right? Often when you Google like, oh, lavender, it's gonna say uses of lavender, right? And that's fine. But Amanda David offers a different language and a shift in how we are in relationship with plants and how we talk about that relationship, and says that plants have virtues, right? Just like we do, just like most living beings do, have virtues that make them special and that help. And those virtues do help us, right? Help us move through whether it's pain. And today we're going to talk a lot about supporting our nervous system. But we are moving away from this using plants to being in relationship with plants based off their virtues, right? And how those virtues support us, and how instead of thinking about like, how do I use this plant, right? That's a very one direction relationship. It's just, how am I using this plant? Now, what are the virtues of this plant in the way it grows? What helps it grow? What are all those things that go into making this plant medicinal, right? And so, anyway, we just wanted to start with that offering because it's really important, right? The language and the way we talk about plants and the way we talk about herbalism, it matters, right? That goes into our medicine. And so I just want to put that out there for you all today. Queremos hablar de plantas en una manera que muestra respeto, ¿sí? Y no queremos hablar solo de los usos de plantas, queremos hablar de virtudes y cómo ser en relación con las plantas. So with that, we're going to get started with a couple things. So the best way I feel I'm going to do this is I'll kind of just show things. I got to pull some things off the other table too. So just bear with me as I move around, you know. But we're going to talk about a category of plants today that are called nervines. So it sounds kind of funny. I think they could have had a better word, but you know.
Not Irvine.
Not Irvine. Nervines. And sometimes they get classified as sedatives. And what nervines and sedatives, I know it sounds really, these are like Western concepts of categorizing plants, but it can also be really useful when we're thinking about things like insomnia and thinking about trauma and how we move through anxiety and moving through depression, right? These just like this isn't a one-stop heal all your problems type thing. That's not how this medicine works. And especially for folks who are just coming into interacting with plants in this way, it takes time to build a relationship for your body, to build a relationship with the plants. And so today we're talking about nervines. We're talking about sedatives. Mostly we'll use the word nervines. And these category of plants help support our nervous system. So at like a chemical, biological level, are supporting our nervous system in responding to stress, right? And we can think about like, I guess feelings, but also conditions like anxiety or like grief or like not being able to sleep, and thinking about stress in general, whatever, if that stress is mental stress or literal like physical stress on the body. These herbs help our nervous system in response, right? And help us, help in those moments where, you know, what's the best word to just like when you're kind of like pulled out of your body a little bit, something so stressful, you like kind of leave for a second, and help kind of not bring you back, but keep you, like help support you. And so we're gonna talk about a couple different herbs, and I love nervines mostly because a lot of people in my life, and anxiety is not generally like my experience, but a lot of people in my life feel a lot of anxiety, and I've used a lot of these plants to both make medicine for folks, but also just to have it in times like a pandemic that we weren't anticipating. Like I had all this medicine on my shelf that I was like, oh, the plants got me. This is gonna be like whatever's gonna happen, I know I have these plants and I know I have these allies. So we're gonna talk about two forms of using this medicine today. The first half we'll talk about teas and taking medicine internally. So drinking a tea. We'll briefly just discuss what like tinctures are. and things like that. But specifically going to talk about tea. So here we have lemon balm. This is like at least my go-to plant. It's in the mint family. I wish I could pass it around for everyone to smell it because you should totally smell it. But it looks, I'm just going to kind of show, I don't know if the camera can see, but it looks like mint. If you've ever bought like peppermint tea at the store, it looks just like mint. It smells a little less minty and a little bit more lemony, like citrusy. But when you see the plant fresh, it looks just like mint. We also have lavender. Everyone knows lavender. But the really nice thing about lavender is you can use it topically, aromatically, for like aromatherapy. And you can also drink it, and so that's nice. We have some roses, which I really love because, I don't know, roses have the highest vibrational energy of all the flowers. And so just really unmatched in that sense. Really amazing heart medicine that the roses offer us. So I tried to bring in different kinds of nervines that support with different kinds of stressors or feelings or experiences. And I have chamomile somewhere, de manzanilla, that is super gentle. So some of these are really different, right? Manzanilla is like every day. Like you can get this anywhere. This is just the bag I have. You can get, I feel like chamomile is the most underrated plant. Everybody just thinks, oh, it's just chamomile. I can just buy it at the store, whatever the case may be. But it's so powerful. And it's also just super gentle. So there's not a lot of contraindications. Contraindications like caution that you should take when using some of these plants. Chamomile is really gentle. So you can give chamomile to kids. Most people do just fine with chamomile. And a lot of these herbs also, so like chamomile, lemon balm, and there was another one I had. But definitely chamomile and lemon balm also support with our gut and our stomach and settling our stomach. So if we think about these feelings like anxiety, these feelings like, shock, or like being that moment where you're kind of pulled out, and thinking about all these, various experiences of mental health, a lot of it lives and we experience it in the feelings of our gut, right? And so it makes sense, and it's so practical and so beautiful that the plants, not only do they support our nerves, but they work on our gut. And it's not coincidental, right? It's all intentional. Like that medicine, like the plants know, like they knew that our stomach was gonna hurt hella when we're nervous or when we're scared or when we're anxious. And so, I just wanted to offer that too. So there's some, like I said, chamomile, lavender, lemon balm are more gentle nervines. And then we have some stronger ones like valerian. Valerian's a really strong herbal ally if you can't sleep. It tastes really funky. It's really pungent. It's really like strong. Most people take it in tablets or like tincture form. So tablets are these plants like this, dried up, powdered, and then put in like little capsules. So most people take them like that, or valerian specifically. But that's a stronger kind of sedative, right? And I would take more caution with that if you're already taking sleeping pills or if you're pregnant or breastfeeding or anything like that. So we want to also offer that caution for some of the stronger nervines and sedatives. So that'd be like valerian, hops. Most people know hops from like beer. You drink IPA, I don't know. Hops are often in like beer, but also used medicinally as a stronger kind of nervine sedative. So today we're gonna do something really simple. I'm gonna show 2 ways of making tea. One is just by making a tea blend with some dry herbs, and then we don't have hot water, but we would pour hot water. I just feel like there's a lot of things I would not want to pour water by right now. So we're just gonna show the tea blend, and I'll talk through what you would do. And so today I'm feeling like if I'm making a tea to support with like self-care, mental health. I know these are really general terms, and you want to be specific most times, all the time, when you're interacting with plants and asking right? And that's part of this too, is you're asking the plants to support you. It's a relationship that you're asking for support in, right? And you're not just like, I'm gonna whip up this tea and it's just gonna do its job. It has to be really intentional. And so when you're thinking about, and I'm keeping it really general today, but if I were to make a tea, because let's say I'm feeling anxious, I would before making the tea really sit with the plants, even if it's for a second, right? Like even if you don't have to have a full-blown conversation, but sit with the plants and yeah, you can. If you get the time and the energy and you want to talk, the plants will always listen. But you really want to sit with the plants, even if it's for a minute, and ask for what you need support with and be really specific, right? And so I'm feeling anxious. I want some chamomile. I'm going to put some chamomile in there. Also because chamomile really helps with gut support. And so you'll see, I usually do them in little bowls like this. If we were making this for everybody to take some home, I'd do a big old mixing bowl, but I don't want to waste the herbs if I'm not going to use them intentionally. So I'm just going to show y'all a little bit. Most people do they'll measure the tablespoons, and then you'll know kind of like how much of each. I'm just showing for the sake of pouring stuff in here. Just showing. I never measure anything. I know this is a really bad facilitator admitting this as a facilitator, but I don't usually measure things. And it's okay. I tell people that all the time in the classes, but I kind of just go with what the medicine is telling me. And even as I was just saying that, I put some lavender in there, and I didn't even know I was going to put lavender. So there's chamomile, lavender, and then I'm going to use lemon balm. Lemon balm has like a really nice, calming, and not as strong as peppermint. I know peppermint's really cooling in that sense. You feel like kind of like gum, right? Like when you're eating gum, you feel like that when you drink water. And so I feel like that little kid. I'm thinking about when I was a little kid, used to chew gum and feel like the coolness. It's not like that. It's not that strong in that sense. It's a very mild flavor. And the reason I'm also using herbs that have more mild or kind of like sweet flavors and kind of essence to them is, yeah, when I'm feeling anxious, I don't want to take something like valerian, where I know it's going to like give me another kind of like shocking experience in my body to be like tasting something that I wasn't ready for. So, and sometimes you need that medicine, right? Sometimes you need you need to pull something up. If you have like a really bad like food poisoning or really bad stomach ache, you need something to kind of bring that out. Then you want that bitter kind of pungent. But this is our blend for the day. So chamomile, lavender, and lemon balm. You can keep it really simple. You can do one of the herbs. You can do like 3 more. I don't want to spend too much time doing that, but I'll show you. I ate this orange this morning. And I never throw away orange peels. It pisses off my roommates, but I leave all these dried orange peels to dry because there's so much medicine in orange peel. It's really uplifting. Even just the essential oils in orange peel, they're what's the word for it? They make you happy. There's like a technical word, but they make you feel happy. They're uplifting in their energy, and they're also just really delicious. So I would cut these up with like scissors. I'll just tear it up for sake of time. But save your orange peels, y'all. Don't throw these away. It's a really good tea. And I'll throw this in here. You can always mix fresh and dried herbs for tea. If you're using water, it's always okay to use fresh and dry. You can do all fresh, you can do all dry, whatever's calling to you. And that is our tea for today. So there's some lemon peel, chamomile, lemon balm, and lavender. And usually, you'd either put it in something like this that has a strainer. You know, these are like $10 at most places. You can find them everywhere. Tea's like the thing, right? And then there's these little bolsitas. And you want to make sure they're brown or like at least tinged brown. If they're white, they've been bleached. Quieres tomar cloro con tu té? Yeah, you don't want to drink like bleach with your tea, right? And we think about this in a lot of ways, but like the way we're teaching these classes is that you can make medicine in your home with really anything, like so many things that are super accessible in your neighborhood or in your like even in your backyard. Some of these plants I didn't even realize I had growing at my mom's house. And so anyway, the other thing I wanted to say is the tea bags that we usually buy at the store, they're usually white, and you definitely don't want to drink bleach in your tea. So you can cut those open and take the medicine out, take the herbs out, and put them directly into hot water. Or you can use something like this. These are at the 99 now. Yeah, so they're pretty easy to find now. You can get muslin or like cheesecloth and reuse that, because you can just tie it up, take your herbs out, compost them, bring them back to the earth, and then reuse that cloth, and you can tie it in a little ball. But these are super easy to find now too, and especially online. So these are kind of two ways. And then another way, and this is my favorite way of making tea. And I'll show this with some other medicines. So there's also a form of making tea called solar tea infusions. And instead of using boiling water like we would put in this, or dunk our little bolsita of tea into some hot boiling water, we would put herbs into just kind of like water that I got from my water machine. And this is flor de Jamaica, and so we're gonna put a bunch. This is a lot more water than I would have put in that, so I'm gonna put a bunch of hibiscus, flor de Jamaica is hibiscus, and rose. And this is y'all gotta try it. If there's anything I'm saying y'all should try, it's rose and hibiscus tea made in the sun. And the energy and the flavor and the essence of solar tea is completely different than using boiling water. The sun has medicine of its own that goes into this tea. And I think that, oh yeah, so sorry.
It looks so beautiful.
Yes, I'm gonna show y'all too afterward. So I'm just putting half and half of rose and hibiscus. Oh yeah, hibiscus is also heart medicine. Honestly, I use hibiscus flower a lot in flower essence form, and this is just a whole other thing that John will talk about shortly. But yeah, is really really supportive for folks who have sexual trauma. And I made this flower essence once when a friend was going through a really hard time in this regard. But I made this flower essence once, not knowing what it was for. My friend was going through this stuff, and I have flor de Jamaica living at my grandma's house, and made this essence, and I was so taken back by everything that, yeah, it just kind of took me through. But anyway, I don't want to get too off topic, but flor de Jamaica is really good heart medicine too. Blood antioxidants, and it has high in antioxidants and really good kind of blood tonic. Do you know anything else about flor de Jamaica, medicinally? Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Okay, so this is what the tea looks like once you just put the dried herbs in. Usually for this, I'd like to use dry hibiscus and fresh roses, but my fresh roses had already fallen today, so I didn't want to pick them up off the floor and put them in the tea. But yeah, so you would put them in a jar like this, and then I see some sun right here on the floor. Hold on, let me let this pass. Just a second. I see some sunlight right here on the floor. So what you'd want to do is fill it, and you can leave it out somewhere where the sun's hitting directly for all day. I would 4 to 8 hours. The longer you leave it out, the stronger it is. You don't necessarily need to use more herbs, right? We're thinking from sustainable, not trying to waste our plants. you don't need to use a ton of plants. You just need to leave it longer if you want a stronger tea. So I always make that differentiation because people are like, oh, I'm just going to throw more in there. And it's like, yeah, you don't need to, though. It just needs to sit a little longer if you want a stronger tea. And so that's my offering of the solar tea infusion. This is like, somebody told me, put me onto this tea, and I was like, oh, I have to share this every time. It is so delicious. Add some like frozen berries or agave or honey, and it's like a summer day. Like, it's just so good. So yeah, that's kind of concludes our tea making station here. If you have questions and they come up in the chat, I don't know how the question stuff works, but we're happy to answer questions related to nervines, related to plant medicine in the chat. So we're going to transition a little into a different form of interacting with these category of plants that John's going to take us through shortly.
Awesome. Thank you, Jess. Gracias, Jessica, por esa parte muy emocionante, porque a veces no sabemos que las plantas, algunas específicas que tenemos en nuestra casa, muchos tenemos rosas creciendo, puedes encontrar manzanilla en Food for Less y todos esos lugares, y no sabemos que esas plantas están muy fuertes, muy bonitos, muy potentes. Voy a decir también que la manzanilla, como dices, que a veces muchos no quieren o no saben que es una planta muy fuerte. No sé cuál palabra usaste, dijiste it's underrated.
Yeah. No sé cómo decir underrated.
Pero una vez yo tomé un té de manzanilla y me sentí tan relajado. Era muy fuerte. I was like, well, I'm so like sedated. I'm like, are you sure this is just chamomile? It was really strong. It was like a really strong concentration. Esas plantas, aunque pensamos que son pues plantas normales o que no tienen mucha potencia, pero sí son. Y cuando pones la intención, cuando lo dejas ahí sentado por un buen rato, sí pueden apoyar con muchas cosas. Pero lo que vamos a hablar ahorita es hablando de la energía de las plantas. So what we're going to talk about next is talking about the energetic medicine of plants. So when we think about our wellness, cuando hablamos de nuestra bienestar, tenemos que pensar en lo físico, en lo emocional, lo mental y lo espiritual. There's 4 parts to ourselves: physical, mental, spiritual, emotional. So when we relate to the plants, it's also all those 4 aspects that we're connecting with. What I didn't get into earlier is talking about making offerings to the plants. Lo que no hablé es haciendo ofrendas a las plantas, porque como dijo Jess, la relación que tenemos con las plantas es lo primero, lo más importante antes que empezar cualquier cosa. So before anything, making that offering and recognizing the relationship we have with the plants is the foundation of anything. So I have here a live plant. So imagine like we're out in the wild or at our home. The wild is like a colonial term, right? So I'm going to take that word back. But a lot of the plants that I have for us today are plants that I have growing at home. So I'll talk a little bit about them. So before I prepared getting here, I had to get these plants and I had to make an offering to them. Of course, everyone has their different traditions and relationships to doing that. So I'm not going to go that into it because I want to be respectful of people's different ways of doing it. But just knowing that making an offering itself, whatever way it may come to you, is really important to do that. So I have here like this plant. So I'm going to also include some of this. So when I would connect with it, I want to be able to understand that this is alive, que esto es un ser viviente con nosotros. And that this plant has a spirit, and that spirit also plays a role in our healing. So we talk about virtues, we talk about all that stuff. So the virtues that the plant has essentially comes from the spirit of that plant. So maybe for some people that sounds a little woo-woo. I'm a little woo-woo myself, but it's real, it's really real. So however that looks like for you, as you begin to build that relationship, you'll begin to see what that connection is. what it's telling you. And Jess says, like, you know, you don't have to have a full-on conversation. Sometimes I do it, my neighbors are like, and they like say hi to me, and I'm like, hi. I'm like, I don't know what I'm on. Yeah, exactly. But, you know, that's what I got to do. So, you know, make my offering out, you know, give gratitude for this plant. And I'm not just going to rip this out, you know, that's not the way we do it. So it's going to tell you how you can, you know, how you can get this plant. So, you know, I'm going to say, you know, give my offering and just be grateful for this plant. This is a baby plant, so I'm not going to get a lot. But I'll feel maybe this part wants to come out, and I want to just kind of take this piece. It came out really easy. It wasn't like anything invasive. So for me, that's how they talk to me. For someone else, it may be different. So with that,
I'll just add to the plants will like prick you, scratch you, let you know when it's not you're not taking intentionally, when you're not, you know, you didn't make an offering or you weren't thinking about what you were even going to take that plant for, wasn't intentional, you'll get pricked, you'll get jabbed by a branch. And those are just reminders, right? It's like a little reminder from the plants, but that happens.
Yeah, they'll be like, that's disrespectful. All right, so there's two ways. Well, there's many ways, but I'm going to talk about one briefly. Un modo de hacer medicina energética is making a flower essence. So one way of doing that, this is not water in here, but imagine this is water. You know, a flower essence is basically gathering the energetic vibration of a flower, of a plant, and capturing that in the water. So this is one of the, when we take our classes, we talk about this more. This is the first class we teach everyone before going into any of the other things, because it teaches us that, again, the plants themselves have their signature, they have their spirit, and how they want to teach us. So imagine this had a flower. I had these really beautiful flowers that bloomed on some of our cacti at home that only bloomed for 5 days, and I got an essence from them. But I'm going to open this up. And imagine one way of doing it is in the middle of the day, usually at noon, because that's when the sun is at its most powerful point in the day. And imagine this had a beautiful flower here. And I'm going to leave this cup of water under this flower for a couple of hours, about 6 hours. And what that's going to do is that water is going to gather that energy from the flower, that spirit or vibration, however you want to call it. There's many ways to talk about it. But I don't want to get stuck on the language, but it's going to get that signature and put it in the water. So what that water does, there's this Japanese scientist, his name is Masuro Emoto, who talks about the memory of water and did all these experimentations and case studies around how water can change its, we would call it, it's like molecular formation depending on the type of energy that we give to it, whether we sing it a song, give it a prayer, or whatever, and it will formulate based on that. And it's similar essence or way of understanding that the water itself could also become, kind of move in relationship to the flower. So the way we think about flowers in a lot of our ancestral medicine practices all over the world is that flowers are the highest vibration of a plant. So when something is flowering, that is almost like the biggest expression, the most flamboyant expression that a plant could offer itself. It's like you like going out, you're like, I'm gonna, you know, put this on and put my best outfit, I'm gonna put my best self forward, I'm gonna dress up, and that's like your absolute biggest expression. Not to say that other parts of you are not that, you know, we're all medicine at every single point in our life at our quote unquote lowest, and we're talking about, you know, when we're our mental health, and sometimes we're not in that place. And that's okay. That's a part of our cycle and how we live. But the flowers, and when we're at that point where that's considered our best, again, I don't like that language, but that flower is that expression of that. So when we're at that point where we're not feeling our greatest, the energy of the flower essence that we capture in this little cup of water from the flower is going to reintroduce that energy to us, that we can relearn, remember, realign ourselves with that point of expression that is balanced, and many different things that it can teach us. So each flower has its own expression and vibration and way of being. So that's all I'm going to talk about that, because that's one way of doing it, and it's much more than that, but I just want to just talk about that to understand that flowers themselves teach us a lot of things, that flowers have a lot of medicine and remind us how to reconnect with our, our fullest potential, but sometimes we forget what that is. The next thing, so if there's any questions about that, we can talk about that. You can also look at flower essences. There's a lot of material out there, but what I wanted to demonstrate more clearly is how to make an agua florida. So agua florida, people know it as Florida water, different things. It's basically water that is infused with a bunch of medicines that you can use later to spray as a purification for limpias, all those things. It's really simple to make. I love making this. So what I have here is a lot of different things. So I'm going to go back to what Jess said. Is that roses? Can you repeat what you said earlier?
Oh, they have the highest vibration of all the flowers. They're that person. That flower. They're that flower.
Yeah. Well, flowers are persons too, We could expand person. I was at a talk of like a year ago. They said an intelligent society is a society that puts personhood on things beyond humans. So there's persons that have beings. So these are persons, That's we recognize them as alive. So I have all these roses here. Everything here is from my house. We have all these flowers growing. So I have my jar here. Again, we have to give thanks to everything that we have here. I'm going to talk a little bit about each thing. So Jess gave us a little bit of understanding que las rosas son las flores con la vibración más alta a todas las flores. So I'm going to have all these roses here that are just growing. I'm just going to put them in here. Yeah. Again, we can tell you, you have to put 2 cups of this and tablespoons of this. I don't think that way. Jess doesn't think that way. And I know there's a meme that I saw a few weeks ago. They were saying about cooking. We don't follow this. We have our ancestors telling us, just stop here. So they're telling me stop.
Drop the spoon.
So here we start off with our roses. So there are many different ways to make agua floridas. There's many different plants that you can put, but the most common recipes have roses and they have orange peels. So Jess, it's awesome that both of us intuitively chose some of the same plants for different things, and that they're both good for internal medicine and for an external medicine. So Jess was talking about, that orange peels allow you to feel good. They bring out a sweet energy towards you. So especially for folks, I myself deal with anxiety, occasional feelings of downness. So it's I rely on a lot of these things when I'm there. But I don't know who told me this, but that orange pills themselves are a reflection of the sun, the solar energy. So we think about their brightness, they're yellow, they're vibrant. These themselves grow. I don't know seasonally in a general sense, but at least this tree that we have at home gives us the oranges in the winter time. So I think about the winter as a time where it's cold, the sun's not out as much, but the trees are generating the light all year round. So when they give you the fruit, it's basically giving you the sunlight from earlier in the year that it was cultivating for all those months. And then when it's cold, we have these beautiful fruits that are giving us that energy that we need, that maybe the elements are not giving it to us, or the season isn't, but it's still there in the fruit themselves. So the citrus brings out that energy, that sunlight that we need when we're in those moments. I'm going to put some of that here. I'm just going to put all of it because this will mold if I leave it too long in here. And it won't mold in here because we're going to put a preservative. So if you just leave it by itself, it will mold. But once you put preservative, that keeps things fresh. The next plant I want to talk about is one of my favorites. This here, I don't know if anybody knows what this is. This is called pericon. Pericon, in English it's called, I don't know. But it's related. What is it? So I get this something.
Honeysuckle, no. Mexican honeysuckle. Yeah, I think it is honeysuckle.
Okay, Mexican honeysuckle.
Oh, that's what it is.
All right, so Home Depot gave us the answer, Mexican honeysuckle. But it's related to marigold. So it's a plant directly related to its marigold's cousin. In Nawa, it's called yautli. Yautli. So this plant, pericon, is also considered, other people call it a grandmother plant. So we talk about plants teaching us, plants as teachers. This is a grandmother plant because this is one of those plants that teach you how to use it and connect with other plants. So I remember when Jess and I were undergrad students, and then we both worked at a center called the Multicultural Community Center. And there's all these people would come in, and pericon would come up a lot in a lot of those sessions. And I feel like it's one of the plants that introduced me, that really like pulled me in. So I thank this plant too for like being a teacher in that way, that pulled me into like wanting to know more. Pericon itself, it smells so beautiful. Again, I wish we could pass it around, but again, CDC guidelines say we're not there yet. But yeah, so it's a beautiful plant, pericon. It's native to Mexico and Central America. It's used in many different ways, ceremonially, for purification, for limpias. And there is a teaching that we had a couple of months ago that I attended online, because everything's on Zoom now, which is pretty cool, from a maestra named Estela Roman, who was teaching us about pericon, who talked about pericon is related to a lot of ceremonies related to the corn, and that pericon is actually used to protect the corn, protect the harvest during different times of its harvest cycle. And I learned from someone else, from my aunt's friend, who told me that marigold actually protects corn from bugs. And I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Maybe ceremonially they say it this way, and then actually physically they say it this way because it actually repels bugs. But then it also like protects it energetically. So I think that's cool. But anyway, so this plant has heating virtues. So going back to that term virtues, is that it's the plant has its characteristics. So its virtues helps to heat up and helps to move what we understand in some of our practices as itis. So people know about itis. They're these roughly translated to spiritual winds that come into our body that teach us, or that people see that they're negative, but really they're teachers. So there's an imbalance in us, thinking about our well-being mentally and emotionally. When we think about our grief and our sadness, our anger, coraje, and all these things that we experience that are natural as human beings to experience. But sometimes they get a little too deep ingrained into our bodies that they begin to cause problems. So when they cause problems, that means an aire or a wind is trapped inside of you. So in order to move that out, part of that, there's different plants to do that. There's a lot of different things. I'm not an expert about it, and I don't want to say that. Tell you this is the way to do it. I don't know. But from what I've learned, this plant helps with that. It helps to heat the body so that you can open up, so that you can do whatever you need to do. It is to release that aire that's trapped inside. So there's a lot of teachings around that. So this plant is really good for that, and why it's used for purification. But that's as much as I'm going to say on that, because I want to be respectful and not say what I don't know. So I'm going to put this in here. You could also cut this up, but again, it's easier to squeeze it in there. And then we have two other plants that I have here. So usually my recipe will contain these plants, because I usually put these in the way I make it. But because I have other plants growing at my house now that I'm excited about, I have sagebrush here. So these two plants here are actually plants native to this land. So just to acknowledge them, I'm not going to harvest them from places around me, because I want to be respectful of plants that are being over harvested. Again, Jess was talking about that a lot of plants like white sage and other things are being over harvested by people. All these things that are really wanting to get into this stuff, but again, it's more than just an interest. It is a way of life for a lot of people. So I have this growing at home. Here I have sagebrush, which is actually not in the sage family. This is in what I learned yesterday when I was doing research. It's in the sunflower family, which is pretty cool. But sagebrush is really sweet. If you smell this, again, I wish I could pass this around. It's a super sweet smell. we had in the opening prayer today that sweetness is, we're inviting in sweetness, and that sweetness is what helps to heal us too. So the plants offer that sweetness to us. This plant is also an insect repellent. So again, oftentimes things that you see that purify us energetically are also bug repellents. But I've been really learning that recently, so that's kind of cool. So I'm gonna put this in here because to add just to the sweetness to this medicine. And this is a lot. So. And then last one, I was wondering if I should add this or not, but I just decided to add it. Mugwort, just because I like mugwort. There's different varieties of mugwort, and I did want to share something else too. Again, we always like to add like political segments to our. As if you take our class, we'll use this term, political segment. But about mugwort. But before I go into that, there's many different varieties of mugwort throughout the world. This is specifically a California mugwort, but there's mugworts in Europe. There's mugworts throughout the world. Mugwort has some medicinal properties that are virtues if you take internally. But for me, I like mugwort just because of its dream work and its relationship to dreams. Just because I like that aspect of it, and I like to, not that I do it, I should do it more, but work with my dreams. I want to add that to it. I learned, political segment, is that mugwort in some parts of this continent was actually banned during the Spanish colonial period. So if we think about how strong our plant allies are, is that they were dangerous to the colonial project, that they banned our ancestral plants, something like growing like that, because they were used and because of their spiritual, ceremonial relationships to a lot of our peoples. So I learned, this is in a video by Patricia Gonzalez, who's another person who talks a lot about our healing practices. But yeah, that really stuck with me because, as we're rebuilding that relationship, we can't forget the fact that a lot of these plants were kept from us. A lot of this knowledge was kept from a lot of our peoples throughout the world who have experienced colonization. So as we begin to rebuild that relationship, or continue that relationship that some people have, it's important to understand that this itself was kept from a lot of us very intentionally. So it's just important to know that. That's how powerful they are. So with this, I have my blend. I don't know if you have anything to add, just I'm talking a lot.
Oh no, that's great.
Okay. So simple. Just put it in here. You don't have to do this when you're making it. You don't have to talk about each plant.
You can if you want.
You can if you want, and you can talk to them too. But I'm gonna start off. It's an agua florida, so it's basically the plants and water. I have here distilled water because it's purified. If you put tap water, you will have whatever else is in that tap. And again, you can do that, but recommended to do distilled or purified water. I'm gonna fill this in about halfway with water, maybe a little more. All right. So this is my first base of it. My next one, and again, you can put whatever plants you want. The base, basically, put roses, flowers, orange peels, and whatever else you want to put. And I have here my preservatives. So you can have different kinds. I have tequila here, or any kind of alcohol. Costco cheap tequila. I'm not gonna put expensive kind, but you can do that. So put whatever you want. You could also use witch hazel if you don't want to work with alcohol, because that's important to recognize. Some people don't want to work with certain things. People have different boundaries. So whatever preservative that you want to use, witch hazel, alcohol, different things, you can do that. So generally, the rule of thumb is a 1-to-1 ratio. 1 part water, 1 part preservative. My hand's wet. If you can, yeah. Okay. So I didn't have enough, but generally 1-to-1 ratio. I'm just gonna put the rest of this water. It doesn't have to be that ratio, but that would be the best for preserving. Again, if you don't preserve it, it's gonna mold. It's gonna get funky. You don't want funky things. You're gonna have to put it back to the earth. So And that's generally the rule of anything that you're preserving that you're not going to take immediately. So Jess showed us something that you're going to use immediately. But other types of things like tinctures, other things you want to preserve it with something. So I'm just going to shake it, put my thoughts in it. I'm going to pass it to Jess to put her energy into it.
And I'll just say earlier, we said you could use dry plants or fresh plants for teas. You can also dry your plants, like get fresh plants, dry them, store them. But I think for Agua Florida, I like to use fresh plants. Yeah. I've never used dry plants, but if that's what you got, use it. But I think the energy is just totally different if you use all fresh plants.
Yeah. And you can also put dry plants in this too. So anything with water, alcohol, you can use fresh or dry. And so we both put it in it. I'm going to ask if everyone could put their energy into
collective energy.
Yeah, collective energy. Thank you. Good intentions, good thoughts. And what you're going to do with this, you're going to leave it for a couple of weeks. Do 4 weeks, about a month. After this month, you'll begin to see that this is going to start to become like brown. I'm going to see what I did with my actual spray, which I have here. So this is a flower, Agua Florida that someone else made, a friend made. You see the color it is? It's going to get this color after about 4 weeks. If you want to get all astrological and stuff, you can do on a new moon. I'm going to start. And then on a full moon, I'm going to look at it. Then the next new moon, that's done. But we're not in that. But a month is a good time for this. So after 4 weeks, you store it somewhere cool. And then after that, strain it. And then you can bottle it in different things like this. And then the way to use it, we have one here too.
Oh yeah, this is Beres, one of Beres' recipes. It has pink sage, black sage, bay leaf, mugwort, cannabis, basil, hella stuff. Rue, pericon, lemon balm, rosemary, aloe, and pirul. And so if y'all are interested, you can also go on her website for this. But John's going to show us how we use.
Oh, I forgot to put this. I'm going to put this in here too.
Okay, yeah.
Or else that would have been for nothing for that rosemary. So we'll put the rosemary in here. All right. Cool. And yeah, so after a month has passed, we bottle it, and then just generally, like if you're gonna just blend yourself, just spray it, and it feels good. So, it's a simple way of doing it, and that's simple. It's easy with things that you may have around you. You can find it at a park, things that are growing in your neighborhood, or you can also get herbs at Hood Herbalism.
And people have different ways of using Agua Florida. Sometimes people pour it, just a little tas, or use it on their joints, which is how the idas that John was describing to us earlier get in and out of our body is through our joints. And so a lot of folks use this after ceremony or after something that opened them up to close and do that by putting it on their joints or just spraying it. So it works good in something you can just pour or spray. I wouldn't leave it in this jar. It's kind of hard to pour from a big jar like that, but just a little, offering.
Thanks, Jess. So simple things you can do. But that's that. Can you reuse it?
What do we do with the herbs after? Can you reuse them?
Good question. So sometimes, if the herbs will get kind of wilted, sometimes you'll see I think they can go for another round, but sometimes they can't. So what you can do is just compost those herbs. Because by that point, everything that the medicinal virtues of this plant will already be in the water. Yeah.
Alcohol does a really good job at pulling the medicine out of plants. It's just really so everything's in the whatever water or alcohol that you use in there.
And for our classes.
Yes. So we're gonna close out just by talking a little bit more about how you can follow us and keep in touch. I also wanted to mention a couple books. A lot, if you're interested in, starting or revisiting or restoring or however you're coming to these practices. I didn't get to start with a lens of folks of color because honestly, it's really limited in published literature, as was mentioned earlier. And so I wanted to offer a couple books for sure that y'all should definitely check out. And one is Working the Roots. It's by a Black herbalist in the South. Her name's Michelle E. Lee. Working the Roots. It's a really, really dope book where she goes through all these different plant virtues, but also talks about all these Black elders in the South who've been working that land for a long time, or their ancestors were, and know how, right? Like even people who aren't indigenous to the land, but were brought here, and how they interacted with the land around them and made medicine. It's like a really powerful set of testimonies from Black herbalists in the South, and it's just incredible. So that's a book I want to put out there. And then there's another one that just came out recently. I don't remember his name, but it's called Enrique Salmon. It's Iwigarra. That's how you say it, right? Iwigarra. It's also a book, an herbalist book written from the perspective of an indigenous person. There's several others, but those two are what's coming through right now, and so I wanted to offer that because, yeah, some people are often like, where do I get started, right? Like, how do I even start to research or get into or look at literature and information about herbs and about plants? And I feel like that's like, I'll always offer that first, always offer that narrative of folks of color. But you're going to find a lot that's not, right? You're going to find a lot of white, Western herbalists, books, context, literature. But it is what it is. You know, we're trying to build this out in the ways that we can too. And so that's that, some books and some resources. You can, again, find us at hoodherbalism.com. You'll find Bere on there. You'll find more information about her practice, her products, her medicine. And then you can also find out about the classes. So we do different classes. The series starts with an intro class. And really it just like barely scratches the surface of plant medicine. And that's why even today felt like just like an offering of a little glimpse of what and the ways that plants can support us in the context of mental health. But this class, it's a 4-week class. It's the Intro to Hood Herbalism class, and we go through. Actually, it's 6 weeks now. It used to be 4 weeks when we were in person. It's a 6-week online class. Maybe we'll be in 4-week in person again soon. But it's a 6-week online class. You can register on the website. There's scholarships available. And there's something else. And then there's a series of classes that you can take after you take the intro class that get introduced once you complete the intro class. There's also some birth work classes that Bere teaches. And I think they're in the middle of that series right now. And then there's a youth class that still hasn't been put out, but I'm just going to put it out there so that we can speak it out. It still hasn't been put out logistically, but we will put that out soon, and we'll do a call out to the community for that too. And so with that, I just want to thank you all so much. One, for just witnessing the plants. I'm like, what a beautiful sight, right? Like the medicine of the plants is just, no words. So just for witnessing and being here with us today. And thanks to everyone who tuned in. I saw a lot of hearts going up. I was like, when we were talking about Hood Herbalism, it was so cute. I was like, folks have love for Hood Herbalism, and really is a vision and a baby of a project that Bere allows us to support her in. And so I want to honor that too and say thank you to Bere and thank you to that vision. So anything you want to add?
Sure, yeah, again, just thank you everybody present and everyone online. And last message that we just want to share is that, again, this is, I believe and I feel that this is our birthright to know about this. There's a lot of gatekeeping and certain Western herbalism practices around how you could learn different courses, but again, this is stuff that we already inherently know. A lot of things that our people around us already practice, but we may not see it as legitimate, but these are things that we've inherited, and it's our right to continue learning about it. So because we are from this earth, these plants are here to teach us, to work with us, to be in relationship with us, because we're here together. So with that, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Hood Herbalism. Thank you, Jessa. Thank you, thank you for coming here and sharing your knowledge. We really appreciate you. And I see the hearts going off right there. While they clean up, folks, this is Lily Flor with We Rise Mujeres de Maiz, an event, pop-up community event sponsored by LA County Mental Health Department, my bad. And also, we're here at WLCAC, Watts Labor Community Action Center. Check out their website and their platform as well. They offer a lot of community resources as well. I know they do food giveaways. They have a marketplace. They have a lot of clients in social services, and also shelters for women and for homeless too, here in the community of Watts and Compton and beyond in South LA. So I want to make sure we make a shout out to them. Hola, muchas gracias y bienvenidos todos donde quiera nos estén sintonizando. Ahora somos We Rise Mujeres de Maíz, patrocinados por el Condado de Los Ángeles de la Salud, el Departamento de Salud, y aquí estamos en Watts Labor Community Action Center en la ciudad de Los Ángeles y Watts, con este evento de bienestar de todos que están aquí sintonizándose allá afuera y también aquí presente. We're about to close out our event, and before we do, we have two more people who want up, and we're going to do a walkthrough with the artist to come through and show us and explain to us what her process was, what the theme was, what she was thinking through this art making process, and being here and connecting with our well-being programming today. This is Ranika Adachi.
Greetings, everyone. So yes, are we going? We're going in. Okay. Go ahead.
Switch mics. There you go. Sorry.
Test. Okay. Yes. So so I call this mural, this work of art, Wisdom Shields, and the reason why I wanted to work with shields is because right now I feel that protection is very important in all of our lives right now. And so what I wanted to do in just working with the shields, I drew inspiration from African and the Mayan cultures. And the reason why I did that is because it's important for the Black and brown communities to unify and come together, and for us to have more understanding of one another and tolerance and all of that. And we also need to protect ourselves. And we live together here. And so as you see that there are different shields, and these two are the two Mayan shields, and the rest are inspired from African shields. And if you notice that I have the Mayan shields kind of, they're not right next to each other. They're kind of mixed in with the African shields. And the reason why I wanted to do that is because I want to encourage the mixing of our cultures, the coming together, and that together we are one. And so another thing in regards to coming together and bringing our cultures together is that helps to provide a sense of protection within our communities. Because if we're together and we're unified, then each and every one of us can walk a little bit taller in our neighborhoods, because we know that we have each other's back and that we're understanding one another. And that contributes to mental health. And so I wanted to make sure that I also incorporated colors that I thought was kind of soothing, and at the same time, colors that inspire action of some sort. Because in a sense, this is kind of a call to action, you know. So I'm gonna come back to the colors in a moment. So the call to action is in regards to this whole idea of protection, and that's what shields are used for, to protect ones from things that may be threatening them or challenging them. And so when it comes to protection, we have to ask the question, what is it that we value? Okay, because we are only really striving to protect those things that we value. So the call to action is search within yourself and find out, what is it that you value. Is it your health, family, um, your job? Is it your peace of mind? Especially in regards to mental health. um, is it your relationships with your friends? Is it your ability to travel and be free to come and go as you please? What do you value? And whatever it is that you value, that's what you would be willing to protect. That is what you want to protect. But also, in looking at what it is you value, also look within oneself. It's important that we look within ourselves to see, well, what is it in me that is valuable? What characteristics do I possess that's valuable? And what you'll find is that those very characteristics that you value, that you feel are valuable about yourself, are the tools and what you need to help you to protect those things that you value. So there's two things here: that which you value about yourself, and then those things that you value in your life. Okay. And so that right there is the call to action. Now, I also used brown in all of the shields. And the reason for that is because I wanted to create a sense of groundedness and being close to the earth. And and so that's why I made sure that I put brown in there, because, especially when it comes to mental health, it's important. That one thing that my daughter always says to me, she's like, Mommy, you can go out in the backyard and just ground yourself. Take your shoes off and just walk on the grass. And so, I mean, that I wanted to kind of find some way to relay that in the work. So hopefully that comes across, because colors, they kind of speak to us in different ways. And so I'm hoping that that comes across. And then I also have here some paintings of a couple of herbs. We've got aloe there to my left and yarrow to my right. And I love the fact that Hood Herbalism is here, because it all ties in together. And I wasn't even thinking about you guys when this came up, but to me, really exploring our plant allies is a form of protection. And so, so that's pretty much it. I don't know if you have any questions. Feel free to reach out to me on Instagram or Facebook. I want to thank Lily Flor and Mujeres de Maiz for giving me the opportunity to share with you all. And and then so I forgot. And then here's just some foliage, just some, just to create that sense of being one with nature. And even though it's not real, but we know how to see things and then kind of just feel the energy of it. And then here are some other shields that I created, and I do this. I created these. I do a cultural arts workshop series that I'm doing right now, and we're exploring shields and the concept of protection in that class right now, in that workshop as well. And so I just wanted to add these just so that there are some shields that are a little bit more up front. And then this one right here, I wrote a Senegalese proverb on here, which honestly, it's, I can hear this in any culture, but it says it's better to farm your field than to pray for it. So it's kind of like, you got to get out there and you got to work for it. And you still pray for it, but, we all know that faith without works is what, So along with the faith, you got to put forth the works. And so this is my work. And I hope that you all feel something from it.
Thank you so much, Ranika, Adachi. We're really excited to be on our third of 5 events across the 4 directions of Los Angeles County. We are very, very proud to be a part of We Rise Los Angeles, We Rise LA, and this initiative by the Los Angeles County Department of Mental Health to bring mental health, well-being, supports, resources, art and expression, creativity, and community together through art, like Ranika, through the song and wellness and well-being and community songs and tradition and ancestral tradition of Onyi love. And I'd love to actually, I know we have a little bit of 6 feet distance, but have y'all maybe come up within some space to just say hello and share a little bit of what you shared, because I know some people came later. So maybe just introduce yourself on the mic, the different people who shared. And George Magallanes, our community organizer, mariachi component, wasn't able to stay. But if y'all, he is. He's here. Sorry. No. So I just wanted to connect and make sure that y'all were represented within this space and actually have us. So if you can come up maybe one by one, and also at the end have Celina share a little bit about mental health resources. So Onyi, I know, please. Thank you so much. Onyi opened up at 12, right on the dot, and an opening blessing, and she'll talk about a little bit very shortly about what you do, maybe.
Hello, everyone. My name is Onyi, also go by Onyi Love, and I'm an artist and healer. I practice laying of the hands healing. I'm a sound healer, and my art and my healing, they oftentimes overlap and intersect. And as we've discussed today, the healing properties of art are really things that we can utilize for our mental well-being, our emotional well-being, our physical well-being, and so many different things. And so I did a prayer honoring our ancestors, honoring our collective ancestors, our individual ancestors, the ancestors that are not human. Also speaking to the direction, speaking to all of life. I sang some music from the Orisha tradition. So the Orisha tradition comes from the Yoruba people of West Africa. So I sang specifically to Obatala, who deals with wisdom and understanding and knowledge and that elder energy, and also the intellectual mental space. So oftentimes those individuals that are seeking support when it comes to their mental health can seek support from Obatala and ask for that peace and that coolness. I also sang to Oshun, who is the life giver, deals with beauty, deals with our value and our worth and sweetness and love. And I'm actually initiated into Obatala and Oshun. And so my work is to be a walking manifestation of their energy in everything that I do. So I'm so grateful to Mujeres de Maiz, to We Rise, to all of you, to everyone that spoke, to everyone that shared everything. And we're all in this together. At the end of the day, we're all in this together. So we have to really break through any ideas that we have, break through anything that tells us that you are not me, I am not you. I need to look at you and see me. See you as well, and understand, empathize with your struggle, with your challenges, with all the things that you're going through. But I need to see myself as well. And the day that humanity can look at each other and see ourselves, then to me, we've broken through so much. So thank you all so much for who you are, for being in this space, and thank you to all of Earth. Ashe. Thank you so much. And I think one of the things that we're doing, and I know it's sometimes a little awkward in an actual public event or space event, to have these people with digital iPads and maneuvering all around you, but we are live on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, as well as Periscope, all at the same time. And that's why we have these iPads and kind of maneuvers, and people who are in front of you sometimes are not able to see.
But we are doing this digital experience through We Rise also, which is such an important adventure and an important experience because but not only because of the pandemic, but also to all of those who aren't always able to come out. I remember, from mental health and well-being for my comadre, who is, when she was big with life and pregnant, she was home more. And so, or taking care of her child, right? And so she wasn't able to be in community organizing or performing or at the events and the spaces. And so she felt a little bit isolated. And one of the things that helped her was song. But also, if digital experiences like this were available at that time, or to be able to connect and have live streams, perhaps, right, that would help in another way. So I want to thank you all for being open to these experiences digitally. And I wanted to bring up George real briefly to talk about some of the work he does, not only community organizing, but also as a mariachi, and also to talk about Compton, the Compton area a little bit. So just real brief.
Yeah, thank you very much for letting me be a part of this. I actually was with some horses. There's a birthday party there, and they have 2 ponies, so I had to go take some photos. I love horses, but I talked a little bit and touched on some of the misperceptions that are out there of a lot of communities, right? We look at Compton or we look at South LA or certain areas. It really depends on what street you're on, what area, because every community has good and bad. But Compton has really become really a hub city with just a lot of activity happening. When my cousin moved there in the 80s, so I practically grew up in some of those in that neighborhood there. But I didn't know that there were horses there. I didn't know that there was a whole equestrian community that doesn't have an identity. And really, we talk about identity. How do you tell kids to be proud of their heritage and their culture when they don't know it, when they don't see it around them, or they're told that you can't do that or you can't do this? But we're doing a lot of good work with the Compton Cowboys, a lot of race relations there between Latinos and Black Cowboys in the community, and there's a mayor's race right now, and everyone's involved, and so we're going to continue to do that work around our community, working with the youth, working with even the older generations. A lot of them feel that they don't have a voice because they don't speak English, or because they just have never been involved, and we're bringing them out. And a lot of the gardeners, there's a lot of folks there that are growing vegetables and are talking to people about the farms and the ranches that exist in Compton. Some people, they just don't know. But if you're ever in the area off of the 91 and Wilmington, you go up Greenleaf, that whole area there has equestrian communities. It's a whole equestrian community, a bunch of horses that you'll see there. But I'm happy to have been part of this, to lend my voice to sing. But I use entertainment to communicate with people. I think laughter is one of the best medicines that we can all have, and it's something that I like to share. And now through music is something that recently became a bigger part of my life, and friends and family and strangers have called me and say, hey, I heard you sing, can you come? And now I bring my horse along to perform, and I do an old style of performance on top of my horse, the way it was done in the old communities of Guanajuato, Jalisco. I mean, we did so I've done serenatas on my horse, playing the guitar and like legit, like it looks. I was gonna bring them, but there's a pony over there. I'm gonna go get them. But I've learned to incorporate all the talents and everything that I've been given, and taught by people. My music teacher taught me to play guitar, and my dad sang, so he would play a lot of these old mariachi songs that, growing up, I was listening to Metallica and Megadeth, and I was a long hair rocker, and my grandma reminded me that music. She's like, I want you to learn Spanish songs to connect. And my grandma told me when I was 12, she said, look, if you learn to play the guitar, you're always going to have an open door anywhere you go. And I kid you not, my music, my guitar has opened up doors, has calmed, folks down. It really, and it saved my life. Walking around the neighborhood with a guitar, like the cholos, the gang members were, messing with him, a musician. But I learned to play, song oldies. So I would walk around the neighborhood with my guitar, and the homeboys would be like, "Hey, come play Thin Line Between Love and Hate," or Mrs. Jones or something. And I had to learn those songs. And again, it brings out, my buddy over here in the back was saying, my mom just passed, and you were singing these songs, and really, music is a big part of our emotion, and so listen to music, listen to those stories. It's just a story. I mean, if you've seen some of the Mexican movies that are played out, they can make a whole movie out of a 3-minute song, a whole movie, like stories and everything. So listen up to what you're hearing, and there's always a message of love, of hope, and we hope that this community of Watts, community of South Central, of Compton, continues to grow and continues to bring folks to help uplift. I mean, when I was driving around here, I looked at the railroad tracks. They look the same way they did in the 90s when I was growing up. And it's a shame. Like, Councilman Buscaino should really, you're running for mayor. I'm not calling you out, but clean the alley, clean the train tracks. We can't allow for our communities to be in such despair and expect positive energy to come out of that. You can't put us in a cage and say you're gonna act normal. You can't. So when you look at your communities, look at where we can help. And I didn't pick on the councilman; they've done amazing work, but we do have to continue to focus on Watts, continue to focus in these communities that still have a lot of room for growth. And so thank you for that. That was the community organizer in me. Sorry, it comes out. But thank you. Muchas gracias.
Gracias a ti, George.
Let me say one more thing.
Yeah.
I want to add one more thing. I worked with Fez dad over 25 years ago in Boyle Heights, knocking on doors, businesses, going door to door, talking to folks about what's happening in your city. And so I'm honored that I continue to work with you, and I still friends with your pops, but I feel that good energy, and it's a family affair. It comes from the heart. So thank you so much for letting me be a part of that. Thank you.
Gracias, George. Really appreciate your cantos. For those who weren't able to be here earlier, we had amazing cantos, and we talked about desahogándonos, so taking away or making sure that we feel through and move through, similar to the aides and the limpias, right? The coraje, the sadness, the despair that many of us may have felt or could feel at any time. On that note, we wanted to bring up Celina Jacques, who is our resident Mujeres de Maiz art therapist and licensed marriage and family therapist, who wanted to give you some resources and also remind us of the paper and the information that we have from ReRise that actually gives the LA County Department of Mental Health 1-800 number, which will also be will be on the digital screen placed right now. So let's bring up Celina, who's also going to do what she did at one of our other pop-ups, a little bit of a meditation about the mural. Let's welcome Celina.
Hola. Where is it? There are a lot of cameras. I'm like, where do I live?
Okay.
You can put it back. Here. I'll take this off. All right. So I'm Celina Jacques. Like she introduced me. Thank you so much, Faye. All right. So they have these really handy handouts. We got. Does anybody have one of the little swag bags? Can I borrow that for a second? I want to show them. Yay! Yeah, okay, so they're giving away these awesome swag bags, ReRise LA, and one of the things in here is this handy handout. So what we've got is the LA County DMH helpline. I'm going to tell you the helpline. I think it's underneath right there. It's 1-800-854-7771. 800-854-7771. There are 3 ways the helpline is here to help you. I'm just going to read this out for you so that you know. There's an access center. So there are mental health referrals, crisis services, and general information. This is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We were answering some questions a little bit earlier about people had some questions about how to engage with mental health, how to find the kind of help that you need. And so this is a really great first step. You just call and then you ask questions and you talk about it. We put some information into the chat on this live. Number 2 is emotional support. So for callers experiencing increased challenges and stressors due to COVID, They're available 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week, so you can get live emotional support as you need it when you need it. There's also number 3 is veteran and military family members. So support and assistance connecting to resources specifically for this population of people. So there's a lot of resources out there, and I just want to like give a shout out to this whole We Rise LA movement. It's really amazing to be part of it, and part of like the acknowledgement that part of decolonizing mental health is acknowledging that a lot of health and healing is already happening in our communities, and the people who are doing it are the artists, we're the singers, we're the yerberos, the herbalists. We're out here, we're doing the work because this is our community and this is how we heal. So I just want to thank LA County DMH for doing something so amazing as uplifting what's already happening in our communities and really highlighting that for us. All right, so I'm just gonna wrap us up. Can we maybe use that camera, yeah, and like come in here? So I wanted to talk a little bit about these shields and about the amazing work Ranika was doing and sharing about the meaning of the shield. So we're not going to do a whole art therapy session, but I do want to give you some quick pointers on how to use this tool for yourself and how to create your own personal wisdom shield. Am I using the right word? Wisdom shield. All right. So really quickly, the way that she shared with us about meaning of colors and symbolism is something that we can incorporate on our own personal wisdom shield. An easy way to do this, I'm just going to walk you through some quick, easy steps, is to create a circle and make a big X in your circle. Our Mujeres de Maiz events are all about the 4 directions for healing, and so you can use the 4 directions to help organize yourself to create your personal shield of wisdom. I'm just going to go through it really briefly the way that I was taught. We start with the first part on the top, and that would be the east. And the color for the east is white, and it's all about the sunrise. So this is your spirit and your creativity. This is a place of new beginnings. And so right here, you can focus in, Ranika was saying, what's important to you? What are you protecting and what do you value? What's new, right? What are you growing in your life that is new? What's your creativity? What are you putting your energy into? And then you can either write or draw symbols or even use colors to represent some of those things. Directly underneath that is the west, and the color of the west is red. Again, these are going to be really different depending on your tradition and where you learned. This is just how I learned it. And this is your physical self. So the east was about your spiritual self and your creativity. The west is about your physical self. It's about being grounded. It's about the earth. The color is red. And so this is about transformation. So what's a place in your life or a thing that you're currently working on changing? A thing that you are in the midst of changing. We are always changing. So what's something that you are transforming in your life? How do you want to uplift it, honor it, and protect it on your personal shield of wisdom? Then we'll move, if you're like drawing the circle in front of you and then the X is like this, right? It's east, west. And then on the other side over here, which would be my left, is the north. And the color of the north is black, and that's the wind. And this stands for our ancestral wisdom and for our unconscious. So this is all about your mind and your memories. These are memories that are locked in through our ancestors' DNA. We've been carrying it forever. This is also the way that we connect with what subconsciously we're working through. So a lot of times there's stuff going underneath the surface, and this is a place to honor that. What are some beliefs, some wisdom, some knowledge, maybe even some thoughts that come up for you that are challenging, that you're working with, or that you want to continue to honor and uplift? And then opposite of that is the south, and that's all about your inner child and your emotions. And this is all about, and the color is water and the element, the color is water. The element is water and the color is blue. You see how that happened in my mind, right? And so here you can honor what are the emotions that come up for you? What are you protecting? And also, what are you honoring? And we've talked about that, like desahogar has been like our unofficial theme, but that practice of letting go, of working through your emotions and letting them go, either through telling a story, through creating images, or through song and sound. These are all different ways of working that through. So that's just a really quick way to like do an intro there. Obviously, you could write and speak and really do an artwork about each of those, but I just want to give you that really simple way to start to create your own personal wisdom shield, how to honor the 4 directions in your everyday life and move through the world with that wisdom, knowing that mental health is all about all of us. It's about our spiritual self, our physical self, and mental health and mental, thoughts and experiences, and also our emotions. And we have to use all of those together to heal. Thank you so much for being here with Mujeres de Maiz today. We're here with LA County Department of Mental Health We Rise Initiative. And Se Me Olvida, the name of the place that we're at right now is Watts Community... Watts Labor Community Action Center. Okay, that's a lot of words. Watts Labor Community Action Center. All right, thank you so much, Mujeres de Maiz.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Celina Jacques. Look her up on her IG and her Patreon. So again, we're here with We Rise Mujeres de Maiz, and we're honoring the South direction here at WLCAC, Watts Labor Community Action Center. And before, we're going to continue to do the short introductions with everyone. I don't know where to look. Oh my God, there's I don't know, 5 cameras. So Tim, we are live streaming right here. These are live streams, and we have been filmed ahead. So anywhere you want to look around and make eye contact, I want to introduce you Timothy Watkins, and he will tell you a little bit about WSAC and who he is. It's amazing. CEO.
Thank you.
He's the CEO here.
So I'm Timothy Watkins, President and CEO of the Watts Labor Community Action Committee. I've been around this place all of my life, literally since I was 12 years old when my father founded this organization back in 1965, 66. And around you, Lily chose this spot for a reason because, to tell you God's truth, there isn't another privately held piece of property, 7 acres large, solely dedicated to community benefit and the advocacy and activism for creation. And I listened to the speaker before me and how powerful her words are about, our genetic disposition, which is to create, which is to construct, which is to provide. And when you look at the art around this place, you'll see the work of Nigel Benz and Carlos Spivey, Charles Dixon, Elliot Pinckney, Margaret Garcia. There's so many here, I can't even remember all of them, and certainly Lily, Lily, helped promote that and present it, and I think she even did some work that we exhibited here before, and I'm grateful to her for shining a light on that. Desperately hungry, desperately in need of help. And so WLCAC has attempted to be a beacon of light for those who are in need. We serve about 2.5 million people a year, 30,000 of those every year, now 40,000 of those every year are unduplicated. That means that we're seeing some people many times in the same week or the same month. We do their taxes. We bring hot meals to the elderly. We go into the elderly home and help resolve issues that may be health and safety issues. We provide mental health services and after-school programs for kids that are deemed to be at risk. And I would challenge any of you to understand what kid of ours isn't at risk in today's society. Every one of them is. So we believe, and that's why we've dedicated all this real estate to programming for art creation, art enrichment, and preservation of the cultural experience. I could be anybody standing before you. My Spanish isn't good enough to trick you, but I speak Spanish. And when I speak from the white side of who I am, my mother from San Francisco is who you would hear. If I speak to you from the black side of who I am, you're gonna hear a black man from Mississippi, and he's gonna speak to you like that. And I'm just saying that how we speak, when we speak from the soul, when we speak from the heart, is the greatest indication of who we are. It doesn't matter what we say, really. It's what we do. And if we can match what we say to what we do, then, not only Watts, but the world would be such a much, much better place. Last thing I would say is that Watts is undergoing, a gentrification assault. And I'll never forget, when I won't name names, but when I was told I shouldn't use that word because it scares developers. And I said, hell, developers are the ones that are waging this assault. That everywhere we look, we're getting so-called affordable housing, but when I look at my brothers and sisters that are making less than $30,000 a year, what can they afford? And, we're going to have 20 units in the 200 units we want to build. We're going to have 20 units of low-income housing. What is low income to someone that has no income? And I just, beg all of you to kind of take a moment in the coming days and weeks to look at what's happening in Watts, where all of our cultural icons are under assault. They're being scheduled for high-rise housing development. I'm fighting it. Now others have joined, so we're fighting it. And at some point, I think we all deserve to fight for the preservation and of our historic and cultural experience. And before I get off, Lily, we get a really mixed crew here every day, right? Kids from all over the neighborhood. And unfortunately, sometimes we're hearing our little Latino brothers and sisters, not wanting to speak Spanish. And I stop and tell them, don't ever, ever, ever cut ties with your cultural experience. Don't do it because that's where your soul is. And your soul is in the evidence of that experience through the historical places and spaces and the places that we recognize as having been there for a cultural experience as well. So, if you haven't joined a battle, I joined Unidad a long time ago to fight against the Reef Hotel. And, we know how that goes. But here in Watts, 2 miles square, heck of a battle. So, Lily, thank you for inviting me to the mic. And remember, don't move, improve.
Improve.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for always being here for our community and for myself, and always stepping up when I come and asking for a favor.
I hope you'll come back.
Yeah, we're coming back. We're coming back. So, thank you so much, Timothy Watkins and WLCAC for hosting us at We Rise Mujeres de Maiz, 4 Direcciones para la Salud, sponsored by Los Angeles County Mental Health Department. Thank you so much. We are in our closing, and I want to reiterate what Tim said. Don't move, improve, because our spaces are we also have to stay in them. And if we center ourselves with all the information that was given today, we will move through it, not only individually, but as a community, and heal together the ancestral and historical trauma. Thank you so much, and thank you for joining us. Signing off. Bye.